Chapter 1253. At that point, Lin Yuan was suddenly embarrassed. The golden wing was his spiritual creature, which was equivalent to his family. For him to have such a thought, did it mean that he wasn't smart enough? Lin Yuan coughed lightly and let the golden wing finish eating the remaining dragon liver and phoenix blood. After the golden wing finished eating the remaining dragon liver and phoenix blood, he stored it in his spiritual spatial zone. Golden Wing's body was huge, but it did not know how to camouflage. Unless Golden Wing advanced to Myth 2 and transformed into a human, it would not be able to do so. Otherwise, he felt that he would not have a chance to summon the Golden Wings in a non-combat state. After leaving the breeding room, Lin Yuan returned to his pavilion and soaked in the hot spring to relieve his fatigue before having a good night's sleep. However, under the silent night sky, the old residence of the Blissful Sea clan was in a complete mess. At this time, every core member of the Sea of Bliss clan in the old mansion was sitting in the meeting room, trembling. Just then, news came from the spirit guards that the Miao family's beast creation garden had applied for the Blood Oath Extreme Battle against the Blissful Sea clan for the third time. According to the rules of the Extreme Battle Arena, after a faction made 3 requests, even if the other party did not agree, the Blood Oath Extreme Battle would still proceed as planned. Ever since Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang had annoyed Lin Yuan in Sky City's private faction territory, they had been ignored by him. His heart turned cold. At the same time, he blamed himself for being too greedy and not giving away all the resources of the Blissful Ocean Tribe in exchange for a chance to survive. In fact, Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang had been hoping for something. Rumor had it that ever since the Great Night Assembly, the young palatial lord of Yeong Palace had never liked the Miao family's beast creation garden. There were a few times when the Miao family took the initiative to express goodwill to the beast creation garden, but they didn't even get to see the young palace lord of the Yeong Palace. He was chased out of the spirit guards with his tail between his legs. The Blood Oath Extreme Battle had to be jointly certified by the Extreme Arena and the spirit guards before it could be carried out. Qi Wangyang felt that based on young palace Lord Yeong's attitude towards the Miao family's beast creation garden, the spirit guards should not have allowed the Zheng family to apply for the Blood Oath duel. However, the news from the spirit guards had arrived. This meant that the other hope in his heart other than the Sky Castle was completely gone. This was the first time Qi Wangyang felt that death was so close to him. Looking at the core members of the Blissful Sea tribe under him, none of them could come up with an idea. They all looked at him with their necks shrunk. Qi Wangyang was filled with anger and fear at the same time. Fear ignited Qi Wangyang's temper. He slammed his palm on the table and said, "All of you are spending the money of your forces. One of you is worth 2. Every time I make a little achievement, I can't wait to ask for resource rewards 5 times a day. Now that it's a matter of life and death, why aren't any of you letting out a fart? What happened to your regulations for resources?" Before Qi Wangyang could vent his anger, he heard an old man sitting down say, "I have been working for the Blissful Sea race for 4 to 5 years, but I am just a pinnacle class 3 creation master that was hired by the Blissful Sea race. I'm going to cancel my employment with the Blissful Sea tribe from now on." The old man's words caused the words that Qi Wangyang was about to say to be stuck in his throat. This caused Qi Wangyang to cough violently. Qi Wangyang coughed as he glared at the old man. If his gaze had any power, the old man would have been a dead man by now. Qi Wangyang cursed in his heart. How can you be so shameless? Didn't this old thing keep expressing his loyalty to him when he was developing the islands? He said that he was willing to serve the Blissful Sea tribe for the rest of his life. He wanted to use this to exchange for 3% of the island's development shares. Back then, I had given the shares to this old man. This old man had spent a lot of resources on the Blissful Sea tribe over the past few years. Even the resources for Phase to evolve into myth breeds were provided by the Blissful Sea tribe. How could this old man have the cheek to say that I am just an external creation master of the Blissful Sea tribe? Apart from the fact that your surname isn't Zheng, the creation master resources you use are probably even more than the Zheng family's creation masters. After coughing, Qi Wangyang was about to scold the old man, but the old man spoke first. "Family head, don't blame me. Family head, please don't blame me." Humans will live if they move, but trees will die if they move. You didn't ask for Sky City's help, and the Blood Oath Extreme Duel can't defeat the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden. Back then, I didn't support you to cause trouble for the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden. It was your decision to destroy the family's future. As soon as the old man finished speaking, many of the Class 1, 2, and 3 Creation Masters from the Blissful Sea tribe responded. Even if it was a Class 1 Creation Master, as long as they could survive, they would be respected wherever they went. Therefore, without any emotional ties, no Creation Master would be willing to live and die with a faction. Before this meeting, many of the external Creation Masters had the intention to leave the Blissful Sea tribe. However, the low-class Creation Masters who didn't have powerful strength were afraid that the Blissful Sea tribe would act in desperation. The Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Master who spoke was an Emperor-class expert who had a newly evolved Mythbreed Fae. If they stood behind the old man, it was undoubtedly a good opportunity to leave the Blissful Sea tribe. Otherwise, if they were really stuck in the Blissful Sea tribe by Qi Wangyang, they could only wait for death. When the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden defeated the Blissful Sea tribe during the Blood Oath Extreme Duel, the Blissful Sea tribe's resources would be distributed. If the Class 4 Creation Masters from the Blissful Sea tribe were willing to submit to the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden, the Meow family would definitely be willing to accept them. This was also an unspoken rule of the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. During the Blood Oath Extreme Duel, apart from the other faction's high-class Creation Masters, the external high-class Creation Masters would normally be able to survive. However, it wasn't the same for Class 1 and 2 Creation Masters. If the Blissful Sea tribe's Blood Oath Extreme Duel was a veteran faction, the veteran faction might fight for the Class 1 and 2 Creation Masters' resources. However, the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden was a top-notch faction that relied on Creation Masters. They had nurtured countless low-class Creation Masters. Therefore, the Class 1 and 2 Creation Masters hired by the Blissful Sea tribe might be treated as potential troubles and burdens and get rid of by the Beast Creation Garden. Seeing so many Class 1 and 3 Creation Masters responding to the old man, Qi Wangyang was so angry that his body was trembling. When the tree fell, the monkeys would scatter. Right now, the Blissful Sea tribe's tree had yet to fall, but the Creation Masters on the tree wanted to let go of the tree and escape. How could there be such a good thing in the world? The rage allowed Qi Wangyang to suppress the fear in his heart, and his eyes turned sinister. Seeing that Qi Haitao was about to stand up and speak, Qi Wangyang's sinister eyes looked at Qi Haitao. He stopped Qi Haitao. Qi Wangyang allowed the old man to lead the Class 1 and 2 Creation Masters to cause a ruckus. Chapter 1254. Qi Wangyang stood up and said in a cold voice when no one else joined the old man's group and was about to leave the Blissful Sea tribe. You guys have mastered the ability to push a man who is down. But don't forget, the collapse of a high wall can crush the person who pushed it to death. Just as Qi Wangyang finished his statement, the Elder and the other Creation Masters who were waiting to leave the Blissful Sea tribe had a dark expression. As a Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Master, the Elder actually didn't need to make a fuss. Even if the Blissful Ocean Clan fell and the Meow family took over the Blissful Ocean Clan's resources in the Beast Creation Garden. Under normal circumstances, he should be able to be put in an important position. However, in order to express his loyalty to Qi Wangyang and gain his favor, he had to give in to Qi Wangyang. When Qi Wangyang was targeting the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden, he had said something bad about the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden. The old man was afraid that the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden would come after him. That was why he chose to take the lead in stirring up the emotions of the Elysian Sea tribe at the beginning of this meeting that concerned the survival of the Elysian Sea tribe. Those Class 1 and Class 2 Creation Masters that didn't share the same surname wanted to cling on to the Elder and leave the Paradise Sea race. The Elder also needed these Class 1 and Class 1 Creation Masters to rise up. In order to curry favor with Qi Wangyang, the old man had spent most of his time by Qi Wangyang's side. He knew Qi Wangyang's character very well. Qi Wangyang was a person who cared about appearances. If it wasn't the last resort, Qi Wangyang would never fall out with the inner circle. This was also the reason why many Class 1 and Class 2 creation masters dared to have thoughts of leaving the Sea of Bliss during the critical moment. Now that Qi Wangyang had openly fallen out with him, the old man felt a strong sense of danger. After Qi Wangyang threatened him, the old man turned to look at an old man who couldn't even straighten his back. The old man looked sickly, sitting at the table with his back almost at a right angle. It was as if he would die if he couldn't catch his breath. However, everyone present knew that this old man was not as weak as he looked. This man was the younger brother of the Blissful Sea clan's previous clan leader and Qi Wangyang's great-uncle, Qi Heng. As an advanced Class 4 creation master, Qi Heng was the strongest creation master in the veteran faction, the Sea of Bliss. He was also the owner of the most powerful force in the Blissful Sea clan. "Uncle, I'll have to trouble you to clean up the traitorous vermin in our Sea of Bliss." The elder stood up shakily and sighed as he asked Qi Wangyang. "Wangyang, tell me, how do you plan to deal with these people? If you weren't the family head, these people would have died under my frost-thorn twin carps." At this point, a dense killing intent spread out from the old man's body. This caused the hearts of everyone present to tremble. Qi Wangyang said coldly, "I have the same opinion as uncle. Normally, if the Blissful Sea tribe's real external members leave, then so be it. Those external creation masters that left the Sea of Paradise, which one of them didn't I, Qi Wangyang, give them a sum of resources before leaving? Right now, the Blissful Sea tribe is in a critical moment of life and death. If we leave now, we'll be stirring up trouble and disturbing their morale. Look at these people who stir up trouble and disturb the hearts of the people. All they do is show their loyalty. What they hate the most is that their surname isn't Qi. The people who grew up eating the resources of the Blissful Sea tribe are all trying to distance themselves from the Blissful Sea tribe. I don't know if the Blissful Sea tribe can survive this crisis, but even if the Blissful Sea tribe can't survive this crisis, you treacherous traitors will also die before me." As soon as Qi Haitao finished speaking, a blue-haired Lolita with 2 shoulders immediately appeared beside the elder. Once the blue-haired Lolita appeared, the conference room was immediately filled with a bone-chilling cold air. Immediately after, every member that said they were leaving the Blissful Sea tribe had their throats pierced by an icicle that froze their entire bodies. The Blissful Sea tribe's conference room had been wiped out by 1/5. The creation masters that weren't attacked looked at the dead Pinnacle Class 3 creation masters and the frozen statues of the Class 1 and Class 2 creation masters. Their eyes gradually turned complicated. The hunchback Qi Heng saw all of these people's eyes. Qi Wangyang might have tried his best to say some nice words to show that he wasn't mean to the Blissful Sea tribe's members. But these nice words couldn't conceal the essence of massacre. The hearts of the Blissful Sea tribe's members were scattered like a pile of sand. If it wasn't for the deterrence of the cold thorn twin carps, Qi Wangyang might have really let these creation masters go. The remaining Class 3 and Class 4 creation masters would also look for Qi Wangyang after the conference ended. After all, a high-class creation master's status that was taken over by the Blood Oath Extreme Duel was far inferior to a free high-class creation master joining a faction. Qi Heng sighed silently. If the hearts of the people are scattered, so be it. The hearts of the people can scatter, but the people must not scatter. According to the information that Qi Haitao had provided before the conference, Sky City's City Lord had only left Qi Wangyang and Qi Haitao in the cold. However, he didn't take the initiative to express that he wasn't going to help the Blissful Sea tribe. It was a fact that Sky City and the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden had a grudge. The reason why Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang had been left in the cold was because they hadn't expressed enough sincerity. If the people were to scatter now, the news would spread. In the eyes of outsiders, the Blissful Sea tribe's overall value would be greatly discounted. This would undoubtedly cause Sky City to look down on the Blissful Sea tribe's value. It was the same as reducing the Blissful Sea tribe's chips to seek help from Sky City. Therefore, Qi Heng would not tolerate this. Qi Heng looked at the scattered hearts in the room and Qi Wangyang, who had nowhere to vent his anger. Qi Heng tapped the ground with his walking stick and said, "Family head, I will take the initiative to communicate with Sky City. Family head, I will take the initiative to communicate with Sky City." I wonder what the family head's bottom line is? Qi Wangyang's face was filled with joy. If his uncle, Qi Heng, could take over this burden, it would be much easier for him. Uncle, my bottom line is to give 80% of Sky City's shares at most. By then, the Blissful Sea Tribe will be a faction under Sky City. I hope that during the negotiations I can give 80% of the shares and get Sky City's promise to invest in the Blissful Sea Tribe. When the elder heard Qi Wangyang's words, he couldn't help but think of his brother's evaluation of his nephew. Wangyang can ensure the Blissful Sea Tribe's development, but he can't make up for the Blissful Sea Tribe's crisis. It seemed that his brother really understood his son to the bone. That was why he gave such an evaluation. Now that it was a matter of life and death, his bones were buried up to his neck. He couldn't let Qi Wangyang do whatever he wanted anymore. Even if Qi Wangyang was the nominal family head of the Blissful Sea Tribe. Qi Heng didn't respond to Qi Wangyang's words. Instead, he turned around and asked Qi Haitao. Haitao, what do you think? Chapter 12:55. Qi Haitao did not expect that he would be called out by Qi Heng on such an occasion. Qi Haitao glanced at his father, hesitated for a moment, and finally said his bottom line. If Sky City can promise to guarantee our safety, we can let the Lord of Sky City ask for whatever he wants. This will show the sincerity of our Sea of Bliss to the greatest extent. If we make a promise ourselves, we won't be able to completely satisfy Sky City. It's impossible for Sky City to help us, the Blissful Sea Tribe. After all, we don't have any friendly relations with Sky City. On the contrary, we used some tricks against Sky City during our previous cooperation. Also, when we talk, we shouldn't focus on Sky City's hatred towards the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. Sky City's hatred towards the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden has nothing to do with the Blissful Ocean Tribe. Sky City doesn't need to make use of the Blood Oath War between the Blissful Ocean Tribe and the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden to attack the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. If Sky City really wants to do something to the Beast Creation Garden, they can apply for a blood oath in their own name, Yi Zichen said. After Qi Haitao finished speaking, he bowed to Qi Heng. He did not dare to look at Qi Wangyang's eyes. Qi Wangyang's face turned green when he heard Qi Haitao's words. It could be said that Qi Haitao's words were equivalent to a complete denial of his previous actions. He did not show any mercy at all. Previously, he had been obsessed with Sky City's hatred towards the Beast Creation Garden. In the process of negotiation, they were not willing to give up the resources that the Sea of Bliss had. In Qi Wangyang's heart, Qi Haitao's words were no different from a thief. If the Sky City made a request, the Sky City wouldn't even leave a fart for the Blissful Sea Tribe. However, unlike Qi Wangyang's ashen expression, Qi Heng's face revealed a look of admiration and gratification when he heard Qi Haitao's words. Haitao will handle this matter with me. Patriarch, the waves are getting bigger. If the Blissful Sea Tribe can overcome this crisis, you'd better discuss things with Haitao in the future. Haitao's mind is clear. If you had discussed with him, the Blissful Sea Tribe wouldn't have ended up like this. Following Qi Heng's words, no one else spoke up. The breeding room of the Blissful Sea Tribe was eerily quiet. Unlike the quietness of the scene, the hearts of the people in the conference room were already boiling. Each of them had some thoughts that they could not reveal. The next morning, Lin Yuan woke up from his deep sleep. After waking up, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that the feeling of waking up today was very different from before. When people wake up, their bodily functions have just begun to recover, and they tend to be relatively lazy. But now that he had woken up, his body's functions had immediately reached their peak. Presumably, it had something to do with him using the geocentric jade milk to undergo a complete transformation. After waking up, Lin Yuan took a bath in the hot spring and changed into a set of spirit chi clothes. When he looked at himself in the mirror, he couldn't shift his gaze away for a moment. Lin Yuan wasn't a narcissistic person and wasn't interested in men. However, the appearance of the person in the mirror was simply too outstanding. All of a sudden, the words "cool" flashed in Lin Yuan's mind. Immediately after, he shook his head and tossed the strange thought out of his head. At that moment, one of the 4 tea attendants, Kai Cha, carried a tray to Lin Yuan's pavilion. Kai Cha, who had just entered the pavilion, saw Lin Yuan shaking his head and couldn't help but sigh in her heart. My young lord is so outstanding. I really don't know what kind of woman will be worthy of him in the future. In the entire Radiant Society, with His Highness' talent and identity, it was truly difficult to find a good match. Among the people that Kai Cha knew, His Holiness's granddaughter was sufficient. However, her talent and strength were much worse than Lin Yuan's. His Holiness Tianfeng's younger sister was currently the second Radiance envoy, and her talent and strength were sufficient. However, she was much older than His Highness. In this case, only the granddaughter of His Holiness in the Imperial Court could match His Highness' talent and identity. Lin Yuan had already seen Kai Cha and hurriedly greeted her. Lin Yuan didn't know what Kai Cha was thinking. If Lin Yuan knew what Kai Cha was thinking, he would definitely be speechless. As someone who had transmigrated from another world, Lin Yuan didn't value things like status and talent. When he saw the breakfast that Kai Cha brought for him, Lin Yuan was rather curious. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't I be eating with my master in the inner palace? Lin Yuan found out from Kai Cha that the Moon Empress and Mystic Moon had been in seclusion since last night. After breakfast, Lin Yuan wasn't in a hurry to return to the mansion. Instead, he walked down the Leaning Moon Mountain along with the early spring dew and went all the way to the royal capital's downtown area. Lin Yuan revealed a smile as he looked at the vast mountains and rivers, as well as the fireworks of the mortal world. This kind of radiant scene under the first rays of the morning sun was truly worth protecting. At that moment, Lin Yuan saw a hawker selling cornbread not far away. Lin Yuan immediately recalled how Chu Si would clamor for cornbread every time she went out on the streets when she was young. Lin Yuan quickly walked over and was prepared to buy one from the hawker to savor the taste of the past. Lin Yuan, who was in a hurry to buy cornbread, didn't know that a group of people had gathered behind him and were secretly watching him. After buying the cornbread, Lin Yuan placed it in his mouth and chewed it. He realized that the taste of the cornbread was hard to swallow. However, Lin Yuan still ate it mouthful by mouthful. In Lin Yuan's heart, the memory of the cornbread was definitely more important than the taste and texture. Just as Lin Yuan was about to walk back to the mansion, his cell phone rang. He picked up the phone and saw that it was from Zhong Zhe. Thus, Lin Yuan quickly picked up the phone. Lin Yuan had previously asked Zhong Zhe to help see if he could obtain the sacred source life form, the Wind Crystal Treasure Bottle, from the Whale Ocean Trading Company's Myriad Origin Hall. Zhong Zhe had readily agreed at that time, but Zhong Zhe hadn't contacted Lin Yuan during this period. Presumably, this contact should be related to the source-type life form, the Wind Crystal Treasure Bottle. When Lin Yuan picked up the call, he heard Zhong Zhe ask with some embarrassment on the other end of the line. Lin Yuan picked up the phone and heard Zhong Zhe ask with some embarrassment, Lin Yuan, do you still have the fire-type Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearl that you gave me previously? Upon hearing Zhong Zhe's words, Lin Yuan was slightly startled. Lin Yuan did have a fire-type Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearl that contained the Wind Crystal Treasure Bottle. However, that Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearl had been woven into a bead string by Hu Quan. During the process of weaving the bead string, Hu Quan had had an epiphany as a spirit craftsman. As a result, the bead string that was woven from the Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearl had become a work of art. However, since Zhong Zhe had mentioned it and sounded a little anxious, Lin Yuan decided to be honest. Lin Yuan immediately answered honestly. End of this chapter. Chapter 1256. Big Brother Zhong, I still have a fire elemental Heavenly Maiden Grade Pearl that contains the Divine Lady Xian. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhong Zhe was overjoyed. Zhong Zhe didn't hide the fact that he needed the Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearls for the Divine Maiden Xian Fire attribute. Lin Yuan, you still have a Fire Element Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearl with the Goddess Gerbils. That's great. If I want to purify my Heaven Burning Hose bloodline, I need high purity fire elemental energy and pure spirit energy. As a matter of fact, the pure fire elemental energy in the elemental pearl you gave me last time triggered the bloodline of the Heaven Burning Hoe. The Burning Sky Centipede has been using the pure fire elemental energy in the elemental pearls to temper its bloodline. Although I don't need to consume the heavenly maiden-grade fire elemental pearls in the process of tempering my bloodline, I still need to feel the pure fire elemental energy and assimilate my own fire elemental energy. The fire elemental energy in a heavenly maiden-level elemental pearl is pure enough, but it's too weak. It's going to be difficult for the heaven-burning centipede to assimilate its own fire element. If you still have one, I hope you can lend me that heavenly maiden-grade fire elemental pearl that contains the goddess germinal pearl for a while. Lin Yuan replied without the slightest hesitation. No problem. Big brother Zong, are you in the capital right now? I just happen to have time now, why don't I send it to you directly? When Zong Zhe, who was on the other end of the line, heard Lin Yuan's words, his heart burned. Zong Zhe knew very well how precious the heavenly maiden-grade fire elemental pearl was. Even his master, Chef Supreme, could not get a heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearl that contained the goddess Graupel. His creation master standard must have improved a lot over the past few years and had already surpassed his master. Lin Yuan's 2 fire elemental heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls should have been obtained from the Moon Empress. Just the fact that Lin Yuan had brought a fire elemental heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearl with the heavenly maiden Xian pearl when he had been a guest at his place had already shocked Zong Zhe. Zong Zhe didn't expect Lin Yuan to give him such a big gift. Zong Zhe had called Lin Yuan because he was unwilling to accept the fact that the heaven-burning centipede was only a step away from purifying its bloodline. Under normal circumstances, even if they were good friends, it would be considered rude to involve such a level of resources. This was because no one would be willing to take it out if they did not have a close relationship. Even if there really was, he could still just reply with, no, to get over it. However, the moment Lin Yuan finished speaking, he immediately told her frankly that he did not have it. He knew that he needed it, yet he was willing to take the initiative to deliver such precious resources. Would be said Zhe Zong Yuan would be. Zhe would be. Moreover, Zong Zhe himself hoped to be able to become good friends with Lin Yuan and treat each other with sincerity. Kin God and Scod, and Zong Zong Qi and ZT, and Zong. In the past few days, Zong Zhe's fighting spirit had been ignited due to the curse, and he was getting more and more restless. Zhe's. Lin Master, King Zhe had. Originally, when Zong Zhe thought of Lin Yuan, he thought of that strange fragrance. However, after this incident, Zong Zhe, who could feel Lin Yuan's affection for him, thought of Lin Yuan again. She subconsciously thought of Lin Yuan's aroma, which could soothe the restless soul, but Lin Yuan himself. It seemed that other than Gu Lang, he had made another true friend. Lin Yuan noticed that Zong Zhe did not respond after he said that he was going to help deliver the elemental pearls. He subconsciously thought that it might not be convenient for Zong Zhe right now. Therefore, Lin Yuan hurriedly said, "That's right. Big brother Zong, if it's inconvenient for you, why don't I just ask Ostrich Logistics to send it over? Don't forget to sign for it in person. This is my last fire elemental pearl. It's the last fire elemental pearl I have." Lin Yuan's words brought Zong Zhe back to his senses, and his brows relaxed as he chuckled. "Lin Yuan, I have never been to your place before. I'll go to your place to get the elemental pearls in a while. I'll send you the source-type item, the Wind Crystal Treasure Bottle." Upon hearing Zong Zhe's words, Lin Yuan replied, "Big brother Zong, I'll text you the address now. It just so happens that I've just returned from Master's place and am preparing to return to the manor." After speaking, Lin Yuan hung up the phone. After sending the text message to Zong Zhe, Lin Yuan no longer had the intention to continue strolling around. He sent his address to Zong Zhe, and Zong Zhe should be able to reach his manor very soon. As the owner of the manor, he should be receiving Zong Zhe in the manor instead of letting Zong Zhe wait for him in the manor. Thus, he used the ethereal jellyfish's node teleportation ability and returned to the main mansion's entrance in a few flashes. As soon as he returned to the mansion, he saw Wen Yu looking at the information in her hands with a playful expression. Lin Yuan asked with a smile, "Did someone from the Sea of Bliss clan ambush you on Star Web early in the morning?" Upon hearing that, Wen Yu hurriedly stood up and handed the information in her hand to Lin Yuan. "Young master, Brother Lu has notified the spirit guards. The spirit guards have already given the Blissful Ocean Tribe their final warning, confirming the blood oath between the Blissful Ocean Tribe and the Beast Creation Garden. I wonder what young master plans to do next. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan did not directly say his plan. Instead, he asked This morning, the people of the Sea of Bliss found you. What was their condition? When you pointed at the information and said, Young master, the leader of the Blissful Sea clan is Qi Wangyang. However, there is one person in the Blissful Sea tribe who has a higher status than Qi Wangyang, and that is Qi Wangyang's great-uncle, Qi Heng. This time, it was Qi Heng who brought Qi Wangyang's son, Qi Haitao, to find me. The two of them did not state any conditions after seeing me. Just say that if Sky City has any needs, the Blissful Sea tribe will do their best to fulfill them. Upon hearing her words, Lin Yuan nodded inwardly. It seemed like the people of the Blissful Sea tribe had already seen through the situation and learned to be obedient. However, since Sky City had taken the initiative to help the Blissful Sea clan fight against the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, destroying the entire Miao family's Beast Creation Garden would not benefit him. Instead, it would affect Lin Yuan's plan to use the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden to explore the Whale Ocean's trade with the Myriad Flag's lineage. Lin Yuan had a more important purpose for this operation, and that was to harvest faith. It was to strengthen the power of faith in his shrine. Therefore, he had to think about how to maximize the harvest of the power of faith. End of this chapter. Chapter 1257. After some consideration, he could not come up with the best solution, so he decided to tell Wenyu about it. He wanted to see if Wenyu could give him some constructive suggestions. Before he spoke, he first had to tell her his purpose. Otherwise, if Wenyu's suggestion didn't suit his purpose, he would definitely be disappointed. In that case, Wenyu's suggestion would be in vain. Therefore, Lin Yuan asked Wenyu, have you heard of the power of faith? Hearing this, Wenyu pondered carefully. After pondering for a moment, Wenyu shook her head after confirming that she had never heard of the power of faith. Wenyu was a little puzzled by Lin Yuan's sudden question. However, since he had mentioned the power of faith, there was a reason for it. Upon seeing Wenyu shake her head, Lin Yuan explained softly. The power of faith refers to when a life form develops positive emotions such as worship and respect towards another life form. These positive emotions can be converted into the power of faith. I have a fae whose strength is closely related to the intensity of the power of faith I absorb. Lin Yuan paused for a moment before continuing. If we help the Blissful Ocean Tribe win the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, we will definitely have to deal with the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. Previously, I asked you to investigate the information on the Whale Ocean Trade Branch. You also discovered that there is a huge problem with the Whale Ocean Trade Branch. Recently, Whale Ocean Trade Thousand Flags has been discussing a collaboration with the Beast Creation Garden. My identity as the City Lord of Sky City has a feud with the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. However, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden is very fond of my original identity. I have something that I want to borrow the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden to see if I can get it from Whale Ocean Trading. If I get rid of the Miao family now, it will affect my plan. Also, I don't think this is the best way to harvest the power of faith. Many people on StarWeb are guessing that Sky City might launch a Blood Oath Extreme Battle to take revenge on the Beast Creation Garden. In addition, Sky City displayed extraordinary strength in the Blood Oath battle against the Zheng family, instantly killing 2 veteran Emperor-level experts, Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan. Hence, even if the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden is destroyed by Sky City, it won't cause too much of a stir. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's explanation, Wenyu immediately understood what the power of faith was. At the same time, she knew Lin Yuan's 2 purposes. Soon, Wenyu had an idea. However, before she said this, she still had to confirm one thing with Lin Yuan. Young master, you said that the power of faith is formed from emotions like respect, worship, and admiration. Then, as long as more people pay attention to this storm, and because of this storm, they will understand your strength. You don't have to stick to a specific identity, right? Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan raised his brows. Why does it sound like I'm a celebrity in my previous life? However, his words were crude, but the logic was not crude. It was indeed logical. My current identity is Sky City's City Lord, the Combat Class Spirit Chi Professional Black, and my current identity. The disturbance caused by Chimey previously allowed me to gain a lot of faith power as Black. Wen Yu's eyes lit up when she heard this, and she confirmed the feasibility of the idea she had just come up with. Wen Yu didn't directly tell him the solution. Instead, she guided Lin Yuan and let him understand the reason she could come up with this idea. Young Master, when Pinru and I were creating the Pinru's Wardrobe brand, we thought of immediately using money to spend on some famous star web celebrities to promote the clothing. During this process, Pinru and I learned about some extremely popular internet celebrities on Star Web. There is such a group among the extremely popular Star Web celebrities. They are obviously not strong, but they have an odd number of fans. Furthermore, when they encounter a storm, their fans will try their best to protect them. They are very sticky. After saying that, Wen Yu changed the topic and asked, "Young Master, have you heard of the term fan abuse?" Young Master, have you heard of the term fan abuse? If the worship, admiration, respect, and other emotions produced because of a certain incident or storm are only temporary, it will slowly dilute with the passage of time and other storms. Then, fan abuse can deepen the worship, admiration, respect, and other emotions, making these emotions more profound. During the observation process, I found that those Star Web celebrities who are not top-notch and have an odd number of fans like to get involved in some matters that have nothing to do with them. They constantly rely on hot events to increase their exposure and occasionally put themselves in a weak position, causing their fans to feel sorry for them. They carry out all kinds of spiritual pulling on their fans. I think this is similar to Young Master's goal of absorbing the power of faith. If you want to collect the maximum amount of the power of faith, we can absorb some essence from it. First of all, Young Master, I think you should first set up an enemy that is so strong that outsiders can't resist for your Sky City's City Lord identity. With this enemy around and this enemy standing up to protect the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden, then we don't have to care about the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden anymore. According to what you just said, each of your identities can absorb the power of faith for you. In my opinion, you should increase the exposure of each of your identities. If Lin Yuan still did not understand, he would really be a fool. If Lin Yuan still did not understand, he would really be a fool. Ever since he had used the law crystals to create 7 Emperor-class experts for the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden, they had been very close to him. Miao Zhua and Miao He, the 2 younger generation competitors of the Beast Creation Garden, had been competing to greet him every day. They did not miss a single moment of time. It was just like how the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden wanted to rely on him. If Sky City helped the Blissful Sea clan win the Blood Oath Extreme Duel at the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden, the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden would definitely beg him when they were at their wits' end. If he helped the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden and saved the lives of the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden from Sky City, he would be the savior of the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden. By then, everyone in the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden would probably be deeply grateful to him. It would undoubtedly be easier for him to use the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden to do things. Moreover, he would use his identity as the Moon Empress disciple to protect the Meow family's Beast Creation Garden from Sky City. In the minds of the other factions and onlookers, they would subconsciously think that the Moon Empress disciple was opposing Sky City. This should be the reason why when you mentioned to him about torturing his fans. After thinking about it, Lin Yuan felt that Wen Yu's suggestion was very feasible. End of this chapter. Chapter 1258. Moreover, there were 2 benefits to this storm caused by his 2 identities. First, the storm was absolutely controllable. Secondly, it was enough to push his 2 identities to the forefront and gain a lot of exposure. At that time, as long as the storm did not dissipate, his 2 identities would continue to obtain a large amount of faith power. Wen Yu was indeed a top internal affairs talent. With just a few simple words, she had solved the problem that Lin Yuan had been clueless about. After chatting with Wen Yu for a while, He picked up the teapot on the table. He went to brew a pot of 3 treasures tea with cinnabar sweet osmanthus stamens and lit up the completely jade-textured agarwood. Then he said to Wen Yu, "That's right. Wen Yu, Zhong Zhe will come to visit the manor in a while. Looking at the time, he should be arriving soon. Why don't you come with me to the entrance to welcome Zhong Zhe?" Upon hearing this, Wen Yu agreed softly. She then walked toward the mansion's entrance with Lin Yuan. Back when Wen Yu was still a spirit attendant, when she found out that she was going to meet a big shot like Zhong Zhe, the disciple of Chef Supreme, she would have been shocked. He would definitely be extremely nervous. However, now that she had been with Lin Yuan for a long time, her vision and experience had improved. Compared to a year ago when he was still a spirit attendant, his strength had increased 10-fold or even 100-fold. He looked at the outstanding youths like Lin Yuan and Lu Jie all day long. Even though she knew she was going to meet Chef Supreme's disciple, she could still remain calm. Wen Yu, who had arrived at the mansion's entrance, recalled Lu Jie's call in the morning and said to Lin Yuan, "Young master, Brother Lu said that he will come back from the land of soul suppression to cook lunch. Why don't I call Brother Lu now and ask him to buy more ingredients?" Just as she finished speaking, a magnetic chuckle echoed beside him. "Master, the dragon developing pond has just been opened not long ago. The crabs in the dragon developing pond are at their fattest. My diamond face storage box happens to have a lot of new crabs from the evolving dragon pond. Let me cook lunch." Lin Yuan thought to himself when he saw Zhong Zhe suddenly appear beside him. Zhong Zhe should be like him and also have a spatial fae that could teleport. Just as Lin Yuan turned around and was about to greet Zhong Zhe, he keenly noticed that something was wrong with Zhong Zhe. Lin Yuan saw that Zhong Zhe's pupils were faintly blood red, and his body was emitting a suppressed battle intent. In that regard, Lin Yuan immediately thought of Zhong Zhe's misfortune. Astrologer Ji Tan's production speed in the Spirit Lock spatial zone wasn't slow, and he could produce a box in half a month. Wang Fuxiang would need 25 to 26 days to finish a box of Astrologer Ji Tan's pollen. Therefore, even if he had to take care of Wang Fuxiang, he could still allocate enough Astrology Ji Tan pollen for Zhong Zhe to use. However, it was clearly not a good time to give Astrologer Ji Tan's pollen to Zhong Zhe. Zhong Zhe just said that he would take the initiative to make lunch, which meant that Zhong Zhe did not treat him as an outsider. Lin Yuan didn't stand on ceremony and replied with a smile. "Last time I ate at Big Brother Zhong's place, I've been thinking about Big Brother Zhong's cooking. Come, let's go inside first. We'll talk inside." Zhong Zhe saw the nearly completed hidden dragon lake in the distance as he walked from the gate to the main residence. Zhong Zhe couldn't help but admire the beautiful scenery of the shallow dragon lake. As a Chef Supreme's disciple, Zhong Zhe had seen plenty of courtyards and scenery that were built with large amounts of resources. However, not far from Lin Yuan's manor, there was a lake that was dyed with rainbow colors, half a lake of huge lotus leaves, and the 100 pavilions that were built on the lotus leaves and the blooming flowers on the pavilions. All of them displayed the artistic taste of the owner of the manor. Zhong Zhe's eyes were immediately attracted by the red sandalwood longevity fish tank when he entered the main residence. Compared to other people who had been to the Return from Faraway Manor's main residence, Zhong Zhe didn't appreciate the value of the scenery but the design. While Lin Yuan was pouring tea for Zhong Zhe, who was sitting on the water rhinoceros leather sofa, took out 2 brocade boxes and handed them to Lin Yuan. "One of these is a gift that I brought as a guest, and the other is the source-type wind crystal treasure vase that you asked me to find." Lin Yuan didn't stand on ceremony and took the 2 brocade boxes from Zhong Zhe. He took off the bead bracelet that was wrapped around his wrist and handed it to Zhong Zhe. "Big Brother Zhong, take this bead bracelet and use it first. You can return it to me when you're done with it." Zhong Zhe originally only wanted to borrow one of the Heavenly Maiden grade elemental pearls from Lin Yuan. Now that Lin Yuan handed the entire bead bracelet, which was made up of 108 Heavenly Maiden grade elemental pearls, to him without the slightest hesitation, Zhong Zhe's heart trembled fiercely again. This bead bracelet was coiled around Lin Yuan's wrist, so it must be his favorite. Zhong Zhe originally wanted to take the fire-type Heavenly Maiden grade elemental pearl from Lin Yuan and put it away first. When he returned to his place, he would take the elemental pearl and let the burning sky centipede sense the pure fire elemental energy within it. However, Zhongzhe now felt that it was a little inappropriate for him to take Lin Yuan's favorite item back. Zhongzhe summoned his burning sky centipede and said to Lin Yuan, "It just so happens that my burning sky centipede is only one step away from bloodline purification. Why don't I take this opportunity to let the burning sky centipede feel the pure fire-type energy within the two elemental pearls and purify its bloodline in one go? Why don't I take this opportunity to let the burning sky centipede feel the pure fire-type energy within the two elemental pearls and purify its bloodline in one go?" After being summoned by Zhongzhe, the burning sky centipede first nested on Zhongzhe's neck and squeaked twice. Then, it took the initiative to greet Lin Yuan. Under Zhongzhe's instructions, the burning sky centipede came to the table. Then, a surge of fire elemental energy gushed out of the burning sky centipede's body. This surge of fire elemental energy entangled the two heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls in Zhongzhe's hands. At that moment, the goddess formed by the pearls became abnormally solid. Lin Yuan found that the fire elemental energy within the burning sky centipede's body was assimilating as it sensed the pure fire elemental energy within the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls. At that moment, Zhongzhe shook his hand and took out a few cooked dishes. Zhongzhe placed the dishes in front of the burning sky centipede, allowing it to assimilate the fire elemental energy within its body while consuming the dishes to obtain pure spirit qi. These dishes were cooked by the Class 5 Creation Master, Chef Supreme. The Moon Empress was a Class 5 Creation Master, while the Class 5 Creation Master, Chef Supreme, was a Culinary Master. Upon seeing the dishes that Zhongzhe took out, Lin Yuan curiously checked them. Through true data, he found that the spirit qi concentration in these dishes was comparable to the spirit qi concentration in the spirit lock spatial zone. It was only about 57% of the spirit qi concentration in the spirit lock spatial zone. Thus, Lin Yuan clearly recognized the difference between the pure spirit qi concocted by the Class 5 Creation Master, Chef Supreme, and the pure spirit qi in the spirit lock spatial zone. New month, seeking monthly votes. Sob, sob, sob. End of this chapter. Chapter 1259. Lin Yuan had been drinking tea and waiting for the burning sky centipede to complete its bloodline purification. However, at this moment, something strange happened to the burning sky roar's body. The burning sky centipede was still assimilating the fire elemental energy in its body, but for some unknown reason, its skin and flesh suddenly split open. Thick fire elemental energy mixed with blood was spewing out from the cracked skin and flesh. The fire attribute energy that was supposed to be controlled by the burning sky centipede became a weapon that could harm the burning sky centipede. Seeing this, Zhongzhe did not panic, because Zhongzhe already knew that this would happen. Due to the lack of concentration of spiritual energy in the dishes cooked by his Chef Supreme, the burning sky Ho could not complete the simultaneous strengthening of his body while purifying the fire elemental energy in his body. However, the heaven-burning roar was a desolate bloodline spiritual object that had an innate ability to control flames. It would definitely be able to endure it. If the concentration of the spiritual energy could not keep up, it would definitely leave a big flaw in the purification of the heaven-burning Ho's bloodline. However, this was also a common problem that all spirit qi professionals with the desolate bloodline Fei had to face. At that moment, Zhongzhe saw Lin Yuan extend his hand toward him. Two tightly closed flower buds were lying quietly in Lin Yuan's palm. Big brother Zhong, these two flower buds have very pure spiritual qi. Sky-burning roar should be useful now. Upon hearing that, Zhongzhe subconsciously took the flower bud from Lin Yuan's hand and examined it. With one look, Zhongzhe's cold face, which had always been indifferent to both praise and humiliation, instantly collapsed. Zhongzhe's eyes widened like copper bells, his face revealing an abnormally shocked expression. Zhongzhe looked up at Lin Yuan with a moved and complicated expression. "Yuan, this flower bud." Before Zhongzhe could finish speaking, Lin Yuan spoke up anxiously. "Big brother Zhong, don't let the heaven-burning centipede use the spiritual qi in this flower bud. The heaven-burning Ho's bloodline is about to complete its evolution due to the lack of spiritual energy. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhongzhe took a deep breath and stared at Lin Yuan for a moment before throwing the 2 flower buds in his hands at the heaven-burning Ho. He then ordered the burning sky centipede to swallow the 2 flower buds. Upon hearing Zhongzhe's instructions, the heaven-burning Ho endured the pain of its body cracking. He leaped and caught the 2 flower buds in his mouth. As the 2 flower buds entered his stomach, the heaven-burning Ho's skin instantly stopped. Then, the heaven-burning centipede's fur was plated with a bright flame light. This flickering flame spread on the fur of the burning sky centipede, causing its fur to suddenly grow twice as long. At that moment, the centipede let out a violent roar. A red crystal-like curved horn suddenly grew out of the heaven-burning Ho's forehead. The heaven-burning roar's incisors, which were already protruding from its lips, were now longer and covered with a layer of transparent red substance. At the same time, the burning sky centipede's body grew from the size of 2 palms to the size of a meter-long beast. Upon seeing the burning sky centipede's current state, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of the Mountain Sea Catalog's introduction of Chi Centipede, Centipede Dragon, the Centipede, Centipede Dragon King In, and God, the Centipede, Centipede, Dragon and Fae. Oh, Dragon, God, Centipede. He found it strange that Zhongzhe's heaven-burning Centipede Dragon's characteristics were different from the Centipede Dragon King in the Mountain Sea Catalog. It seemed that it was because his bloodline had not been purified. The heaven-burning centipede's appearance was exactly the same as the Mountain Sea Catalog's description of centipede. Zhongzhe was very happy to see the heaven-burning centipede's changes. Zhongzhe knew that because of the pure spirit qi that Lin Yuan had given him, the heaven-burning centipede's bloodline transformation was no longer just to increase the purity of the fire elements in his body. Even his physical body had undergone a complete transformation. It could be said that not long ago, Lin Yuan had come to his residence and given him the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearl. At this point in time, Lin Yuan had already given him 2 unexpected opportunities. When Zhongzhe was very young, Chef Supreme had told Zhongzhe, "Even if you think of yourself as a good friend, it is very likely that he will break your opportunity when it comes. As for friends who can give you opportunities on your path of growth, you must cherish them. If someone can give you opportunities many times without asking for anything in return, if that person is a woman, you will marry her. If that person is a man, you will treat him as a blood-related brother." Before Zhongzhe could think more about what Chef Supreme had said to him, the heaven-burning centipede, whose bloodline had been completely purified, suddenly spat out 8 high-grade extraordinary flames from its abdomen. These 8 extraordinary flames circulated around the heaven-burning centipede's body and were magnificent. If the heaven-burning centipede had not been controlling the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames and not letting the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames heat spill into the environment, his main residence, which was full of completely jade-textured wood furniture, would have been burned to ashes. Looking at the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames surrounding the heaven-burning centipede, his heart trembled slightly. In the previous duel with Zhongzhe in the cultural relic duel martial arena, he had seen how powerful the heaven-burning centipede's exclusive skill, 8 refinements, was. When Zhongzhe let the heaven-burning centipede attack the target, it would spit out the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames in its abdomen. The 8 high-grade extraordinary flames would constantly superimpose and gradually increase the damage 8 times. When the last damage burst, its combat power would be comparable to the strength of a top-notch extraordinary flame. At that moment, the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames were constantly purifying the fire elemental energy contained in them under the heaven-burning centipede's control. After the 8 high-grade extraordinary flames were purifying the fire elemental energy contained in them, the flames became even more crystalline. Among them, there were 7 leaping flame cores that caused faint ripples to appear in the surrounding space. Another bright red extraordinary flame's flame core even caused space to become distorted. It could be seen that the temperature of these 8 high-grade extraordinary flames had definitely increased a lot compared to before. At that moment, Zhongzhe gave an order to the heaven-burning centipede. The heaven-burning centipede retains the red plum meteorite flame and uses fire tempering to temper it with the other 7 high-grade extraordinary flames. Upon hearing Zhong Zai's instructions, the heaven-burning centipede's body moved. Then, a flame that was like a blooming red plum was summoned in front of the heaven-burning centipede. The other 7 extraordinary flames of different colors were like moths flying into a flame. One after another, they pounced toward the red plum-like flame that was summoned in front of the heaven-burning centipede. As the red plum meteorite flame devoured these high-grade extraordinary flames that had been purified and contained fire elemental energy, it was constantly becoming stronger. In the process of absorbing the 5 extraordinary flames, the red plum meteorite flame's surroundings even faintly showed the phenomenon of red plum blossoms fluttering in the wind and frost spreading. Lin Yuan thought, it seems that Zhong Zai is doing this to use the other 7 extraordinary flames to promote the red plum meteorite flame from a high-grade extraordinary flame to a top-notch extraordinary flame. Chapter 1260. If the red plum blossoms fluttering in the wind and frost blossoms phenomenon behind the red plum meteorite was completed, the red plum meteorite flame would then truly become a top-notch heavenly flame. This was because only the burning of a top-notch heavenly flame would cause a phenomenon. When Zhong Zai saw the changes in the red plum meteorite flame, he flipped his hand and a brocade pouch appeared in his hand. After Zhong Zai opened the brocade pouch, Lin Yuan saw that it was filled with fire-type heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls. At this moment, Zhong Zai was throwing the fire attribute heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls into the sky-burning hole one by one. He allowed the burning sky roar to use its pure fire elemental energy to nourish the red plum meteorite fire that was absorbing the other 7 strange fires with all its might. Zhong Zai's decision to let the red plum meteorite flame devour the other 7 advanced mystical flames was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was a decision that Zhong Zai had made a long time ago. The red plum meteorite flame was the strange flame that Zhong Zai was most comfortable with among all the strange flames he had encountered. In truth, the red plum meteorite flame was not a high-grade mysterious flame at first. Zhong Zai had discovered that as an intermediate mysterious flame, the red plum meteorite flame's temperature was much higher than other intermediate mysterious flames. Hence, Zhong Zai had the burning heaven roar continuously increase the strength of the crimson plum meteorite through its skill, flame refinement, upgrading the crimson meteorite from an intermediate mysterious flame to an advanced mysterious flame. The red plum meteorite flame did not disappoint Zhong Zai. The high temperature released by the red plum meteorite flame, a high-grade mysterious flame, was comparable to some top-notch mysterious flames. High temperature was one of the characteristics of the fire element that Zhong Zai needed the most. Whether it was the heaven's crimson fire or the reincarnated flame beast, the high temperature was extremely high. Both of them could greatly enhance the lethality of the two. At the same time, the high temperature of the red plum meteorite flame could enhance the characteristics of other mystical flames to a certain extent. After all, high temperature was a basic condition for flames to burn. In addition, the high-temperature red plum meteorite was summoned by the burning sky roar, which was equivalent to releasing an area of effect damage. At that moment, Zhong Zai was clenching his fists tightly. He was looking forward to the temperature increase of the advanced red plum meteorite flame after it advanced to a top-notch strange flame. Zhong Zai, who had been burning with misfortune since he was young, had long been used to using his mind to suppress the surging battle intent that was constantly born from the misfortune in his heart. It could be said that Zhong Zai had been using his mind to build a dam to resist the tide of battle intent from swallowing his rationality. In that case, the emotional fluctuation toward Lin Yuan just now was equivalent to shaking the dam. Now that this sense of anticipation was born, it opened a hole in the dam of Zhong Zai's mind. The collapse of a 1,000-mile dike could be caused by an ant's nest. Battle intent gushed out from the hole in the dam, instantly causing the dam that Zhong Zai's mind had forged to collapse. The hidden redness in Zhong Zai's eyes suddenly spread out. Zhong Zai's eyes, whether it was his eyeballs or the whites of his eyes, were instantly dyed blood red. Zhong Zai's remaining rationality made him think to himself, "Oh no! Previously, Zhongzhe had also been in a situation where he had nowhere to vent his fighting spirit. Under such circumstances, Zhongzhe would often find a place to unleash his battle intent, until he was completely exhausted and had no more strength to move. Every time Zhongzhe used this method to release his battle intent, he could release the majority of his battle intent. This allowed Zhongzhe to suppress his battle intent and maintain his rationality for the next half a month. This is Lin Yuan's mansion. I won't destroy Lin Yuan's mansion if I go crazy, right? However, Zhongzhe didn't have time to worry because his remaining rationality had been completely devoured by the battle intent. While the intense battle intent devoured Zhongzhe's rationality, Zhongzhe let out a roar similar to that of a trapped beast. Zhongzhe's roar startled Wenyu. As a result, the burning roar could no longer focus on using flame's refinement to strengthen the red plum meteorite flame with its final advanced mysterious flame. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan spoke to Wenyu. Wenyu is fine. I have a solution for Zhongzhe. He hurriedly said to the burning sky roar. Leave the burning heaven roar to me. Calm down and upgrade the red plum meteoric flame. Otherwise, Zhongzhe's hopes of elevating the red plum meteoric flame to a top-notch heavenly flame will be completely dashed. You don't want Zhongzhe to be disappointed because he didn't see the top-notch meteoric red plum flame when he wakes up, right? After appeasing the burning heaven mantis, he immediately flashed into the spirit lock spatial zone. He grabbed a handful of pollen that astrologer Jitan had just matured and had yet to collect. After leaving the spirit lock spatial zone and returning to the main mansion, Lin Yuan immediately scattered the astrologer wisdom epiphyllum's pollen on Zhongzhe, who was preparing to launch indiscriminate attacks in the surroundings. Zhongzhe inhaled the pollen, but it did not make the blood-red color in his eyes fade. However, it allowed Zhongzhe to calm down and was no longer as crazy as before. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan once again returned to the spirit lock spatial zone and grabbed another handful of astrologer Jitan's pollen. However, this time, Lin Yuan did not directly scatter the pollen on Zhongzhe. Instead, he took the crane shadow sensor. After crushing astrologer Jitan's pollen with his hands, he sprinkled the crushed pollen on the burning, jade-textured agarwood. By burning the incense, he allowed the pollen to completely release the fragrance. Lin Yuan placed the crane shadow sensor beside Zhongzhe and let Zhongzhe try his best to fumigate the pollen. After the second handful of pollen was completely burned, Zhongzhe's battle intent was gradually suppressed. This allowed Zhongzhe to once again build a dam in his mind to isolate the battle intent. Lin Yuan frowned as he looked at the astrology wisdom cloud's pollen in the crane shadow incense cauldron. According to the consumption of the astrological epiphyllum pollen, as well as Zhongzhe's current state after absorbing the astrological epiphyllum pollen, Lin Yuan could tell that Zhongzhe's misfortune influence was much more severe than Wang Fuxiang's. Fortunately, as long as there was a long-term supply of astrological epiphyllum pollen, Zhongzhe's bad luck could still be completely eliminated. However, this period of time could be as short as half a year, or as long as a year. After Zhongzhe regained consciousness, in front of Zhongzhe's eyes appeared a strange scene of red plum blossoms soar to the clouds, purple blossoms bloom, crimson colors cover the sky. The red plum blossom in the vision stretched out its enchanting branches, constantly changing the shape of its branches. As the plum blossom branches stretched out, the bright red plum blossoms on the branches bloomed and fell. When the red plum-shaped flower was at its most beautiful, it would instantly wither. The rustling shadows of the fallen plum blossoms were extremely charming and gentle. Furthermore, this vision had never disappeared since it appeared. In the center of the vision, the red plum-shaped flame was burning brightly. However, Zhongzhe no longer had the mood to pay attention to the long-awaited red plum meteorite flame. He also didn't bother about the burning sky centipede, which had come to his side and was worriedly stirring its ears. Instead, he fixed his gaze on Lin Yuan. Chapter 1261. Ever since he was young, Zhongzhe's greatest fear was that his mind would be controlled by the surging battle intent caused by misfortune. The burning sensation of being filled with battle intent was one thing, but more importantly, Zhongzhe had been taught to be a powerhouse since he was young. Therefore, Zhongzhe did not like to let things get out of his control. What's more, he couldn't control his own body. Even Supreme Chef didn't know that because Zhongzhe's mind was often controlled by the fighting will. This caused Zhongzhe to be infected with the disease of nightmares. Not only did Zhongzhe have to face the feeling of being controlled by battle intent in reality, but he was also forced to review that feeling in his dreams. Until he woke up from his dream. The fact that his mind could be controlled by battle intent had always been a knot in Zhongzhe's life, a knot that could not be untied. Ever since he had smelled Lin Yuan's scent at the Night Ruler's assembly. In Zhongzhe's nightmares, there would often be a figure with a delicate fragrance that could help him suppress his battle intent. This figure allowed Zhongzhe to no longer fight the Nightmare Lord alone. It also made Zhongzhe less afraid of the Nightmare Lord. In the process of being controlled by the fighting will, Zhongzhe smelled this fragrance again. The appearance of this fragrance even made Zhongzhe think that he was dreaming. However, the fragrance he smelled just now was far stronger than in his dream, and it also made him more awake. It was only when Zhongzhe once again used his mind to build a dam, blocking the surging battle intent, that he finally regained consciousness. Only then did Zhongzhe realize that he wasn't in a dream, but reality. Zhongzhe didn't know what the fragrance was when he was controlled by the fighting will just now. However, Zhongzhe was now 100% sure that this fragrance did not come from Lin Yuan. Instead, he had something that could suppress the misfortune. Not long ago, Zhongzhe had gone to the purple bamboo forest with his chef supreme. He had heard that the Moon Empress had used a spirit herb to remove Wang Fuxiang's bad luck. After that, his master, Chef Supreme, had personally begged the Moon Empress, but she had not agreed. Lin Yuan's fragrant spirit herb should be the same as the one the Moon Empress had given to Wang Fuxiang. Lin Yuan saw that Zhongzhe was staring at him but did not speak for a moment. Lin Yuan was the first to speak. Big brother Zhong, congratulations on successfully upgrading your high-grade red plum cloud flame to a peak-grade mysterious flame. Upon hearing that, Zhongzhe's heart could not help but feel warm again. The burning sky centipede had told him what Lin Yuan had done when he had communicated with him spiritually. Based on Zhongzhe's understanding of the burning sky centipede, if not for Lin Yuan's comfort, the burning sky centipede would not have survived. The heaven-burning Ho would definitely not be in the mood to continue strengthening the red plum cloud fire because of his condition. It could be said that Lin Yuan had played a huge role in evolving the high-class red plum cloud flame into a pinnacle strange flame. However, Zhongzhe only remembered that his master, Chef Supreme, once said that if a woman gave him many opportunities without asking for anything in return, he should marry her. If a man gave him many opportunities, then he should treat him as his blood-related brother. But if it was a man who not only gave her many opportunities, what should he do if he was able to pull him out in a time of crisis? Zhongzhe carried the burning sky roar and said to Lin Yuan with an abnormally solemn expression, "Brother, I can't thank you enough." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan reached out and patted Zhongzhe's shoulder. "You've already called me brother, but big brother Zhong is still so polite with me." After saying that, Lin Yuan thought about the production of astrologer Ji Tan and Zhongzhe's current misfortune. After thinking for a moment, he asked Zhongzhe, "Big brother Zhong, is it convenient for you to tell me about your misfortune?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhongzhe answered without hesitation. "When I was young, I encountered an attack and almost died. That was when I was infected with misfortune. All these years, Master has thought of many ways to get rid of the misfortune I've been infected with. In recent years, the misfortune's influence on me has been getting stronger. In the early years, I could suppress my battle intent for at least 4 months. However, as I grew older and my mind became stronger, I could only suppress my battle intent for a month. And this is under the condition that I'm not affected by external influences during this month. Previously, Master tested me and found that under the stimulation of the external environment, even if I suppressed the battle intent brought by the misfortune with all my might, I would still go berserk 3 times in a month." At that point, Zhongzhe's face revealed a painful expression. It could be said that this was the thing that Zhongzhe was most unwilling to recall. If Lin Yuan had not asked, even if Gu Lang had mentioned this matter, Zhongzhe would not have chosen to reopen his scar again. After knowing that the fragrance on Lin Yuan's body came from a spirit herb that could suppress his misfortune, Zhong Zhe had the thought of asking Lin Yuan about this spirit herb. Thus, Zhong Zhe had the thought of asking Lin Yuan about this spirit herb. Since his master had not obtained this spirit herb from the Moon Empress, could he obtain some spirit herbs from Lin Yuan to suppress his misfortune? If he ignored the misfortune, he might not even need 3 years. He would become a killing machine controlled by his battle intent. In the end, before Zhong Zhe could speak, Lin Yuan spoke first. Big brother Zhong, I should have a way to deal with your misfortune. However, you will need to go through a period of treatment that could be as short as half a year or as long as a year. When Zhong Zhe heard Lin Yuan's words, he was startled. Zhong Zhe never expected that when he was thinking about how to mention this spirit herb, Lin Yuan had already taken the initiative to treat his misfortune. Lin Yuan had already taken the initiative to treat the misfortune he was infected with. Zhong Zhe, who had just said that he would not thank Lin Yuan with words, knew that he really did not need to thank him now. Using words to express his gratitude was equivalent to blaspheming Lin Yuan's intentions. If Lin Yuan could treat his misfortune, let alone half a year or as long as a year, even if he treated it for 10 or 20 years, he might not even be able to take root. As long as he could suppress his misfortune, it was equivalent to helping him reshape his life that was tortured by misfortune. In the future, he would not have to be forced to endure a torturous nightmare when he fell asleep every day. He would also not have to be afraid that one day he would be controlled by his battle intent when he was improving his strength. He would not have to use the strength that he had worked hard to increase to hurt the people closest to him. Brother, if you need me for anything in the future, I will definitely go through water and tread on fire without hesitation. Upon hearing Zhong Zhe's words, Lin Yuan suddenly recalled the spirit fixation silver mine that the goblins had discovered at the border of the Divine Wood Federation. Lin Yuan had previously thought of recruiting manpower and using the large amount of spirit fixation silver produced by the spirit fixation silver mine to make artifacts and sell them. The artifacts made of spirit fixation silver were considered daily necessities for creation masters and were in great demand. However, if he wanted to make spirit fixation silver in large quantities, it was definitely not enough to rely on the spirit craftsmen in the Heavenly Craft Pavilion. Chapter 1262. Lin Yuan did not want to create a team from scratch to produce and consume the spirit-calming silver ores. This would make the Sky City's composition appear too bloated. In addition to investing a lot of material resources, it would also take a lot of effort. Moreover, the team created for the spirit-calming silver was destined to collide with the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's function. This was not what Lin Yuan wanted. In addition, the spirit-calming goblins could almost be equivalent to a walking mine. Apart from the spirit-calming silver ores, the spirit-calming goblins might find other ores. In order to keep up with the spirit-calming goblins' mining speed, Lin Yuan would almost have to create a huge team from scratch that was comparable to a top faction. After all, top factions could not continuously develop ores in a very short time. Therefore, after thinking about it, Lin Yuan felt that he might as well be idle. He would simply do the business of the mineral itself. Big brother Zhong, I really have something to ask you. I don't know if you've heard that faction currently has a project that needs a lot of minerals. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhong Zhe raised his brows and thought to himself, could Lin Yuan have found some ores? In the Radiance Federation, ores could not be mined at will. In each of the 32 major cities, all the ores within a radius of 10,000 square kilometers belonged to the major cities. Only ores within a radius of 10,000 kilometers could be freely mined by the factions. Those places that were not under the control of the major cities had long been occupied by a few top factions, dozens of veteran factions, and hundreds of rising factions. This cake was not easy to divide. However, Zhong Zhe happened to have a ready-made project that required a lot of ores. One of the top factions, Hearthstone, which specialized in metal and spiritual materials, was backed by Chef Supreme. Therefore, Hearthstone had offered many newly discovered ores to Chef Supreme in exchange for the opportunity to enhance phase. Chef Supreme had also handed over these ores to him to deal with. It happened that Gu Lang's side was in a similar situation. Therefore, Zhong Zhe simply partnered with Gu Lang and set up a faction that specialized in developing ores. This faction took in nearly 10,000 spirit craftsmen. The Creation Master team that Zhong Zhe set up would provide a lot of Creation Master resources for this faction every year. If Lin Yuan had a lot of ores to consume, then don't think about taking all of them, Zhong Zhe said as he recalled his 50% shares in this faction. Lin Yuan, Gu Lang and I established a faction 7 to 8 years ago. Because this organization only works for me and Gu Lang, it doesn't even have a name. This force usually uses metal spirit materials to forge artifacts or carve metal spirit materials into cubes of equal size, and then sells these artifacts and cubes in the market. Why don't I give you 25% of this force's shares? If you need any more metals or spirit materials in the future, you can just throw them to this force. When Wen Yu heard Zhong Zhe's words, she was shocked. No matter how busy Wen Yu was, she never slowed down her work of gathering intelligence for Sky City. He naturally knew how much resources and cash flow Zhong Zhe and Gu Lang had established this faction. Even though Sky City had a lot of resources at its disposal right now, there was still a lot of them. However, the resources of Sky City could probably match up to 5% of that force's resources. After all, the resources of such a force that controlled the mine were all given by the heavens and earth. Zhong Zhe had given Lin Yuan 25% of the faction's shares to thank him. In Wen Yu's opinion, Zhong Zhe was too wasteful. There was no need to thank someone like this. Even if Wen Yu was a spirit attendant, it was hard to imagine that someone would give away such a huge amount of wealth with just a few words. What was the difference between Zhong Zhe giving Lin Yuan 25% of the faction's shares and Master Mystic Moon cutting the Radiant Moon Palace's purse and giving it away? When Lin Yuan heard Zhong Zhe's words, he hurriedly shook his head. Big brother Zhong, even a brother can't give away shares for no reason. But if Big brother Zhong has a faction that can consume a lot of metal spirit materials, then I can really cooperate with you. Seeing that Zhong Zhe was still insisting on giving him 25% of the shares, Lin Yuan hurriedly added. If I cooperate with Big brother Zhong, you won't let me suffer a loss, right? Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhong Zhe could not continue to insist and could only say helplessly, if I cooperate with you, I won't let you suffer a loss. Even if I suffer a loss, I won't let you suffer a loss. After thinking for a moment, Lin Yuan told Zhong Zhe the truth. Big brother Zhong, I usually go to the outer realm to train. When I encountered an underground dimensional rift in the outer realm, I happened to catch a mineral vein gnome, and the mineral vein gnome also happened to find a spirit-stabilizing silver mine. I want to discuss a deal with Big brother Zhong for an entire spirit-stabilizing silver mine. When Zhong Zhe heard Lin Yuan's words, he could not help but click his tongue. Lin Yuan's series of coincidences were simply too coincidental. Not only did he encounter a spirit-stabilizing silver mine, but he also encountered a mineral vein gnome. With a mineral vein gnome, it meant that there would be countless large mines waiting to be excavated in the future. If Zhong Zhe had simply wanted to help Lin Yuan before, he now felt that he was not helping Lin Yuan. Instead, Lin Yuan was helping him. With the continuous mining of the mineral vein, the minerals contained in the mineral vein were getting lesser and lesser. In addition, new mineral veins were extremely difficult to find, so the spirit craftsmen of Zhong Zhe and Gu Lang's faction only needed to work about 6 hours a day. If Lin Yuan could provide a large number of ores, then as long as the faction's spirit craftsmen worked longer, he would immediately be able to create a huge amount of wealth. Lin Yuan, if I had only given you 25% of the shares earlier, now, I think I should give you at least 30% of the shares to cooperate with you. Of course, the shares that I'm talking about now are completely based on the actual value of the exchange, not including other factors. Zhong Zhe paused for a moment before continuing. Lin Yuan, do you have any intention of using the mine to invest in the faction that Gu Lang and I have established? If there is, I will contact Gu Lang now and clarify the division of shares. Lin Yuan felt that Zhong Zhe's suggestion was very feasible. Using the mine to buy shares was the most convenient option for Lin Yuan. He just had to wait for the shares to be distributed peacefully. He didn't need to worry too much about it. Thus, Lin Yuan nodded. All right, big brother Zong, why don't you call Gu Lang over and we can talk face to face? Zong Zai immediately dialed Gu Lang's number. Chapter 1263. Zong Zai's call went through for a long time before Gu Lang picked it up. Hey, Zaizi, you said you were going into seclusion the last time I called you. Are you out now? Upon hearing Gu Lang's voice, Zong Zai's face immediately revealed a surprised expression. Zong Zai was not surprised by Gu Lang's words. It was because Zong Zai could hear a deep sense of fatigue in Gu Lang's words. When Gu Lang picked up the phone, there was obviously someone talking on the other end. As the voice was not loud, Zong Zai could not clearly hear what was said. Before Zong Zai could speak, he heard Gu Lang take the phone far away. Then he shouted in an unfriendly tone, "I'm on the phone. Wait for me to finish the call before we talk." After Gu Lang said this, there was no more voice beside him. Gu Lang took the phone and smiled apologetically before continuing to speak to Zong Zai. Zai, I came to Cold Frost City for some matters. I thought that since the Class 5 Swamp Dimensional Rift opened in Cold Frost City, I would be able to capture a few black swamp houseflies. In the end, not only did I fail, but I also encountered an he. Upon hearing Gu Lang's words, Zong Zai frowned. Zong Zai was looking for Gu Lang to discuss the shares. Zong Zai's phone was on speakerphone, and Lin Yuan could hear Gu Lang's words. Lin Yuan had never seen an he before, but he was no stranger to the name. Among the Radiance Federation's 13 majesties, one of them was in charge of all the lifestyle class Spirit Chi professional guilds apart from the Creation Master Association. This majesty was the Eternal Lamp Majesty. The Eternal Lamp Majesty was low-key among the 13 majesties, but he could not be low-key even if he wanted to. This was because the Eternal Lamp Majesty's eldest disciple was this batch's third Radiance envoy. Even though the Eternal Lamp Majesty's eldest disciple did not have Creation Master talent, he was an extremely talented healing-type Spirit Chi professional. The In-He that Gu Lang had just mentioned was the Eternal Lamp Majesty's youngest disciple. The Eternal Lamp Majesty's youngest disciple, In-He, like his senior brother, had an extremely strong talent as a healing-type Spirit Chi professional. Moreover, and he had already obtained a Radiant Light Medal and was very likely to be a Radiance Envoy seeded player in 2 years. Although Lin Yuan and Gu He had never crossed paths before, Lin Yuan knew Gu He's temper very well. Gu Lang had always been a gentle person. If he wasn't provoked, Gu Lang wouldn't use such a heavy tone at all. Gu Lang and he should have a lot of conflicts between them. Lang Zi, you and Anha are fighting again? Gu Lang said helplessly when he heard Zong Zai's words. It won't be to the extent of fighting, but if I encounter Angi's Class 5 Swamp Dimensional Rift, I won't be able to explore freely. The sacred source life form was snatched by Anhi's men. Fortunately, I managed to get 3 pieces of high-level swamp soil. Otherwise, we would have come here for nothing. Hearing Gu Lang's words, Zong Zai clenched his fists tightly. Obviously, Zong Zai also had a lot of opinions about Anhi. Gu Lang did not hesitate too much and directly changed the topic. Zizi, why are you looking for me? If it's because you want to vent your fighting spirit and challenge me to a fight, you probably won't be able to make it. I still need at least 10 days before I can return to the capital. Gu Lang was 1 year older than Zong Zai. When he was young, Zong Zai had been rather antisocial and didn't like to talk to others. Because of the assassination attempt, Zong Zai had become even less talkative. Therefore, Gu Lang would always take the initiative to look for Zong Zai. If Zong Zai happened to look for him, 9 out of 10 times, it would be to challenge him. When Zong Zai heard Gu Lang's words, his expression suddenly softened. Lang Zi, Yuan has a way to completely resolve my bad luck. In the future, I probably won't challenge you to a fight because of my fighting spirit. Upon hearing Zong Zai's words, Gu Lang's exhausted face immediately revealed a look of pleasant surprise. When Gu Lang found out that the Moon Empress had given his mistress, Wang Fuxiang, a spirit herb that could resolve bad luck, Gu Lang immediately thought of Zong Zai. Zong Zai and his mistress, Wang Fuxiang, were both afflicted with bad luck. Since the Moon Empress Spirit Herb could resolve Wang Fuxiang's bad luck, it would definitely be able to resolve Zhong Zai's bad luck. Gu Lang had wanted to mention this to his master, the Bamboo Monarch, more than once, but in the end he could not bring himself to say it. After all, Wang Fuxiang's bad luck had yet to be completely resolved. If he were to have designs on the spirit herb now, it would be rather unfilial. At that moment, when Gu Lang knew that Zhong Zai's bad luck could be cured by Lin Yuan, he was extremely happy for Zhong Zai. As His Majesty's disciple, Gu Lang had been fawned on and flattered by various factions since young. In such an environment, it was very difficult for Gu Lang to make friends. When he was young, Gu Lang's only friend was Zhong Zai. During the gathering, Lin Yuan had unconditionally gifted the golden silk Emperor Bamboo's bamboo shoot to him. It was the same as extending his future path as a creation master. Now that Lin Yuan had saved Zhong Zai, Gu Lang's gratitude towards Lin Yuan deepened. Through Zhong Zai addressing Lin Yuan as a Yuan, Gu Lang knew that Zhong Zai had already treated Lin Yuan as a good brother like himself. Just as Gu Lang was preparing to congratulate Zhong Zai, he heard Zhong Zai's voice coming from the other end. Lang Zi, I am at a Yuan's place. I have been on speakerphone. I'm calling you this time because I want to talk to you about our faction's shares. When Gu Lang heard Zhong Zai's words, he thought that Zhong Zai wanted to give a portion of his shares to Lin Yuan. Recalling Lin Yuan's help, Gu Lang said, How about this? How about this? We each take out 25% of the shares and give it to a Yuan. Upon hearing Gu Lang's words, Lin Yuan revealed a helpless expression again. Do all Big Shot's disciples give away shares just because of a disagreement? Before Zhong Zai could react from Gu Lang's words, Lin Yuan hurriedly interrupted. Big Brother Gu, why are both of you saying that you want to give me shares? What's going on? Big Brother Zhong is calling to talk about the cooperation between us. By the way, from what Big Brother Gu said just now, it seems like Big Brother Gu is looking for the swamp world's black swamp flies. If Big Brother Gu needs the black swamp flies, I should have a way to get a few. The black swamp flies were a very rare swamp dimensional life form. The black swamp flies were rather similar to the swamp water moss. A young black swamp flies couldn't even defeat a normal 100 questions beast. However, a swamp dimensional life form like the black swamp flies also had an immeasurable upper limit. If they had sufficient resources and could ensure that they wouldn't be killed by their natural enemies during the growth process, the black swamp flies were easier to evolve than other dimensional life forms. End of this chapter. Chapter 1264. Lin Yuan remembered that Gu Lang had nurtured a snake Medusa. Gu Lang's need for the black swamp flies should be related to the snake Medusa's talent. Otherwise, Lin Yuan really could not think of why Gu Lang would want a swamp dimensional life form like the black swamp flies. Lin Yuan could enter the swamp world through the Klein hub at any time. No matter how rare the black swamp flies were, it was much better than Gu Lang opening Class 5 swamp dimensional rifts one by one. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, most of the fatigue on Gu Lang's face disappeared. If Lin Yuan could help him find the black swamp flies, then the snake Medusa that he had painstakingly obtained could come in handy. Since it was something he really needed, Gu Lang did not stand on ceremony. Thank you, Lin Yuan. The black swamp flies are indeed very useful to me. According to Lin Yuan's words, Gu Lang knew that Lin Yuan did not want to take his shares for nothing. Moreover, Lin Yuan had clearly rejected Zhong Zai. Thus, Gu Lang did not mention giving Lin Yuan shares again. Instead, he used a real cooperation attitude to discuss the division of shares with Zhong Zai and Lin Yuan. In the end, Zhong Zai and Lin Yuan each held 33.3% of the faction's shares, while Gu Lang held 33.4%. Gu Lang would spend his time managing the faction's operation. After discussing the matter, Zhong Zai looked at the time and went to the kitchen to deal with the newly fished crabs from the evolving dragon pond. At that moment, when you looked at Lin Yuan with eyes full of deep worship. As the behind-the-scenes operator of a faction, she understood how difficult it was to accumulate resources. However, Lin Yuan had managed to negotiate such a huge deal with just a few words. Just as when you was looking at Lin Yuan with stars in her eyes, Lin Yuan said to her, "Wenyu, the shares on your side have been confirmed. If there's anything in the future, you'll communicate with Gu Lang." Upon hearing that, Wenyu replied with a smile, "Don't worry, young master. I'll carefully follow up on these matters and handle them well." While Wenyu was talking to him, Lin Yuan found that Lu Jie had returned. Lu Jie was still carrying a lot of fresh spiritual ingredients. However, Lu Jie's nose, which had just entered the house, keenly captured a crab's fragrance in the house. It looked very different as it nestled on the sofa, but it was still a sky-burning centipede fey. Lu Jie immediately knew that Zhong Zhe had arrived. For some reason, Lu Jie had harbored some enmity towards Zhong Zhe. Lu Jie couldn't figure out where this hostility came from. However, Lu Jie and Zhong Zhe had been busy cooking in the kitchen during the last gathering, and they had become friends after exchanging cooking skills with each other. When eating at Zhong Zhe's place, Lu Jie remembered that Lin Yuan had praised Zhong Zhe's cooking more than once. And last time, because Zhong Zhe was making the secret 300 plates of kitchen incense palace, he could only help Zhong Zhe in the kitchen. Now that he was in the manor, he finally had a chance to compete with Zhong Zhe. Since Zhong Zhe was cooking, he would do it himself. This way, his and Zhong Zhe's dishes could be served together for Lin Yuan to judge and see whose culinary skills were better. Lin Yuan scratched the back of his head as he watched Lu Jie rush to the kitchen after greeting him. He didn't understand why Lu Jie, who had always been steady, would suddenly become so energetic. However, Lin Yuan was still looking forward to the two chefs cooking together. During the few days he had gone to the Divine Wood Federation to train, Lin Yuan hadn't had a good meal, and he had suffered when eating in the Radiant Moon Palace. Now, he finally had a chance to have a feast. No matter how meticulous a chef's cooking was, they would not be too slow. In addition, there were only Lin Yuan, Wenyu, Lu Jie, and Zhong Zhe in the manor. The mother of Bloodbath, which could eat the most, was not in the manor. It had gone out to meet its friends in the food group. The mother of Bloodbath really didn't have the good fortune to eat. Lin Yuan estimated that in less than 40 minutes, Zhong Zhe and Lu Jie each walked out of the kitchen with 5 dishes. Lin Yuan didn't know what had happened in the kitchen with Lu Jie and Lu Jie. However, what surprised him was that Zhong Zhe and Lu Jie's 5 dishes used almost the same ingredients. It was just that the cooking methods of each dish were slightly different. Zhong Zhe was good at steaming and stewing, while Lu Jie was good at frying and stir-frying. Each had their own specialties. For example, Zhong Zhe used the method of steaming and boiling the crab roe from the Kitchen Incense Palace's Dragon Lake. The fresh crab roe was dense, and the rich crab roe had a faint spicy taste in the mouth. The vinegar could seep the sour fragrance into the crab shell. Under the premise of fully moistening the crab meat, the vinegar's sour fragrance would perfectly combine with the crab roe to form an extremely fresh taste. Zhong Zhe's method was probably in line with the saying, 100 flavor acid is the best. Lu Jie first used his knife skills to dismember the crab roe and took out the crab roe. He used the crab roe as the base and stir-fried it with the seasoning in the pot. Then he added some spicy side dishes and mixed them with the base made of crab roe. Finally, he covered the dismembered crab roe with the side dishes and used the spiciness of the side dishes and the fresh crab roe to cook the crab meat that was cooked over the fire. Letting the crab meat absorb the fragrance of the side dishes and crab roe was equivalent to forcibly fusing the crab roe's freshness into the chewy crab meat. It could be said that Lu Jie's and Zhong Zhe's 5 dishes each had their own merits. If one had to compare, it could only be that everyone's different taste preferences. Those who liked light flavors tended to prefer Zhong Zhe's method of boiling the crab roe with vinegar. Those with a stronger taste would like Lu Jie's method of cooking with sauce. Lin Yuan and Wenyu, who were attracted by the aroma and color, did not see the fighting spirit in Zhong Zhe's and Lu Jie's eyes at all. They also did not want to judge whose cooking skills were better. While Lin Yuan and Wenyu were eating to their heart's content, Zhong Zhe and Lu Jie kept their eyes on Lin Yuan and Wenyu. They looked at which dish Lin Yuan and Wenyu ate more to determine whose dish was more popular. Wenyu was a foodie who could usually eat more than 4 bowls of rice. After Lin Yuan had used the geocentric jade milk to be reborn, his appetite was also much bigger than before. Food could be digested as soon as it entered the stomach. Therefore, Lin Yuan and Wen Yu almost took care of all 10 dishes. Halfway through, Lin Yuan and Wen Yu were a little embarrassed when they saw that Zhong Zhe and Lu Jie had basically not moved their chopsticks. Finally, after Zhong Zhe and Lu Jie made it clear that they could not eat anymore, Lin Yuan and Wen Yu used the whirlwind ladle and spiral chopsticks. Upon seeing the 10 plates being eaten clean, Zhong Zhe and Lu Jie could not help but look at each other. After looking at each other, Zhong Zhe and Lu Jie scratched the back of their heads in unison. When all the dishes were finished, the fighting spirit in Zhong Zhe's and Lu Jie's eyes slowly decreased. For the time being, they would consider it a tie. Those who are afraid of hunger at night should try not to read this chapter first. Sob, sob, sob. End of this chapter. Chapter 1265. At that moment, Zhong Zhe heard Lin Yuan, who had eaten and drunk to his heart's content, speak. Big brother Zhong, when you helped me get the Wind Crystal Aquarius from the Whale Ocean Trade's Myriad Origins Hall, did you notice that the Myriad Origins Hall was a little different from before? Lin Yuan had asked Zhong Zhe because he wanted to see if there were any abnormalities with the Whale Ocean Trade's Myriad Origins Hall. It was impossible that the Myriad Origins Hall did not know that the Myriad Flags Hall had exterminated the Sea Sky Hall. If there were no abnormalities with the Myriad Origins Hall, it would be very strange no matter how he looked at it. On the other hand, Lin Yuan also wanted to find out more about the Whale Ocean Trade from Zhong Zhe. After all, one of the top 3 factions, the Whale Ocean Trade had always been backed by Chef Supreme. As Chef Supreme's disciple, Zhong Zhe must be very familiar with the Whale Ocean Trade. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Zhong Zhe was not in a hurry to answer him. Instead, he began to think carefully. Zhong Zhe had not interacted with Lin Yuan for long since he had known him. However, Zhong Zhe knew that Lin Yuan was a person who had a clear purpose in every word he said. There was no need for others to spend too much effort to guess Lin Yuan's thoughts. Therefore, when Lin Yuan mentioned the Whale Ocean Trade, there had to be a reason. In the process of thinking, Zhong Zhe decided to tell Lin Yuan about the relationship between the Kitchen Fragrance Palace and the Whale Ocean Trade. Brother, the relationship between the Whale Ocean Trade and the Kitchen Fragrance Palace is not as good as before. The Whale Ocean Trade has not come to the Kitchen Fragrance Palace to ask for Creation Master resources for 3 to 4 years. However, the Whale Ocean Trade is still maintaining its tribute to the Kitchen Fragrance Palace, making others think that the relationship between the Whale Ocean Trade and the Kitchen Fragrance Palace is still very close. If there is anything special about the Whale Ocean Trade recently, it would be that after Di Wanin, Di Wanqing has also successfully become an immortal. This news was leaked by the Whale Ocean Trade itself. Currently, the Whale Ocean Trade is the only faction with 2 immortals among the top 3 factions. At this point, Zhong Zhe's expression paused slightly before he continued. After decades of development, the Rhine life form and the Brahma insect cage have obtained Creation Master resources from your master, the Moon Empress, and Gulang's master, the Bamboo Monarch. It is impossible for a faction to only have one Emperor-class expert who has become an immortal. It's just that the Rhine life form and the Brahma insect cage have never revealed their trump cards. Compared to the Rhine lifeform's Brahma bug cage, the fact that 2 experts from the Whale Ocean Trade's self-detonation force are trying to get their hands on undying beings is much more high-profile. However, this kind of high profile is understandable. Zhai Wantian's son, Zhai Hao, has already been confirmed to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection this year. The Whale Ocean Trading Company's Di Wanyan only has one son. Zhai Hao is definitely the young patriarch of the Whale Ocean Trading Company's Myriad Banners branch. Zhai Hao should be 25 or 26 years old this year. He didn't participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection previously, but he suddenly wants to participate this year. There's only one explanation. That is the Whale Ocean Trade's 10,000 flags lineage, or rather, Zhai Hao. He isn't eyeing the Radiance 100 sequence. Instead, he wants to use the Radiance 100 sequence as a springboard to run for the Radiance Envoy selection in 2 years. This is the only reason why the Whale Ocean Trade, which has always kept a low profile, would suddenly make such a high-profile decision. Upon hearing Zhong Zai's information, Lin Yuan increasingly felt that something was wrong with the whale ocean trading. If it was purely to build momentum, they would be willing to release the news that 2 experts in their clan had become immortals. It would destroy the balance that the 3 major factions had maintained for a long time. In that case, the whale ocean trade's 10,000 flags lineage had no reason to exterminate the sea-sky lineage, where most of its members were creation masters. It had to be known that exterminating the sea-sky lineage was equivalent to reducing the whale ocean trade's overall creation master reserves. This itself was contrary to the purpose of building momentum for Zhai Hao. When the members of the top factions participated in the Radiance 100 sequence test, they generally didn't need to have their identities verified. After all, the signboard of the top factions was there. However, if one wanted to participate in the Radiance Envoy selection, then no matter who it was, the Radiance Sacred Hall would clearly check their resume. He wasn't sure if his identity as the Sky City's City Lord would be found out, but his identity as Black, a spirit chi professional, was destined to not be hidden. The Whale Ocean Trade's 10,000 flags lineage had used underhanded means to lure and kill the Sea-Sky lineage. When Zhai Hao participated in the Radiance Envoy selection 2 years later, the Radiance Sacred Hall would definitely find out. This kind of internal strife using murder methods was a huge negative news. With this negative news, Zhai Hao was destined to be unable to become a Radiance Envoy. It was impossible for the Whale Ocean Trade's 10,000 flags lineage to not know about this. Therefore, no matter how one looked at it, the Whale Ocean Trade's sudden high profile and Zhai Hao's sudden participation in the Radiance 100 sequence selection were more like a means to attract the world's attention to these 2 matters. It was to cover up some strange behavior of the Whale Ocean Trade itself. However, no matter how they hid it, even if Zhai Hao did not participate in the Radiance Envoy selection 2 years later, the Whale Ocean Trade's high profile was enough to attract the attention of the High Lords. The Whale Ocean Trade's purpose was so big, it was very likely to delay for 2 years. However, Lin Yuan couldn't understand why there was a need to delay time. What could the Whale Ocean Trade do in 2 years? However, these were just Lin Yuan's guesses. In short, through Zhong Zai's words, Lin Yuan could confirm that Zhong Zai was not clear about the specific situation inside the Whale Ocean Trade. However, from Zhong Zai, Lin Yuan did indeed know a lot of information about the Whale Ocean Trade that he didn't know before. If he wanted to dig out the Whale Ocean Trade's potential goals, his best choice was to understand the situation through the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, which was cooperating with the Whale Ocean Trade. The blood oath battle between the Blissful Sea clan and the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden was the crucial step to make the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden lean towards his identity as the Moon Empress disciple. When the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden was completely reliant on him, he would be able to see through the eyes of the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden and see what exactly the Whale Ocean Trading Company was up to. After the meal, Zhong Zai prepared to bid farewell to Lin Yuan. The problem of misfortune on his side had been resolved, and the burning sky roar had completely purified his bloodline. Previously, the heaven-burning centipede had swallowed 8 high-grade heavenly flames and fused them into a peak-grade heavenly flame. Now, the heaven-burning roar could devour another 7 types of heavenly flames. Since the sky-burning hoe could control the top-notch red plum meteorite flame, it would naturally be able to control other top-notch heavenly flames. Zhong Zai thought to himself, if he could gather 8 top-notch heavenly flames, the heaven-burning hoe's combat strength would definitely have a qualitative leap. Zhong Zai also had an idea. Since 8 high-grade heavenly flames could fuse into a top-notch heavenly flame, would top-notch heavenly flames really be the end of heavenly flames? If he used the heaven-burning hoe's flame-tempering ability to fuse 8 top-notch heavenly flames, what would it be? End of this chapter. Chapter 1266. With that thought, Zhong Zai's blood involuntarily boiled. However, even if he was the Chef Supreme's disciple, it was impossible to obtain 7 top-notch deviant flames at once. Therefore, whether his idea could be realized or not would depend on the subsequent exploration of the Abyss world through the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift. Zhong Zai was very confident in the exploration of the Abyss world. During this period of time, Gao Feng, Long Tao, and Sun Ningxiang had not been idle. The manpower that they had agreed upon was already in place. Zhongzhe was even more assured of Lin Yuan's creation master resources. It was definitely Zhongzhe's fortune to have a Class 6 abyss-dimensional rift in the Radiance Federation. Through the continuous exploration of the abyss world, even if he, Lin Yuan, and the others could not find top-notch deviant flames. Then, when the other factions found top-notch deviant flames, he could also visit and see if he could use resources to exchange for the top-notch deviant flames in the other factions' hands. Zhongzhe's sacred source life forms, the Heaven Scarlet Flame and the Heaven Burning Roar, had a large demand for deviant flames. As the Class 6 abyss-dimensional rift opened to the major factions, with the production of deviant flames in the abyss world, his strength would definitely improve at a much faster rate. Zhongzhe, who had been tormented by misfortune since he was young, finally realized that looking forward to the future and having light in the future was a very blissful thing. Seeing that Zhongzhe stood up to bid farewell, Lin Yuan also quickly got up. He was prepared to send Zhongzhe to the mansion's entrance. The moment Lin Yuan stepped out of the main mansion's doorstep, he saw a light yellow fey standing on his cinnabar sweet osmanthus. It was an avian fey with a very delicate appearance. Lin Yuan looked at its scissor-like tail and nail-like beak. He was certain that this bird fey should be some kind of swallow. This light yellow bird fey was very pleasing to the eye while standing on the silver stamen gold luster cassia. Moreover, his mansion was within the royal capital. Even in the suburbs, there were very few wild feys that visited. Therefore, Lin Yuan subconsciously used Morbius True Data to investigate this light yellow swallow. Fey name: Coiled Fortune Swallow, Fey species, Feathered Swallow/House Swallow, Fey grade, Silver, 3/10, Fey type, Wood, Fey quality, Normal skills: Frowny face, Auspicious bond, find a plant Fey with auspicious characteristics and form a nest on it. Your quality will become the same as the plant Fey you form the nest with. Fortune source: Acceptance. Consume the leaves and flowers of the auspicious plant Fey that forms a nest with it. Absorb the auspicious aura in the leaves and flowers into the nest and seal it in the nest. As long as the nest is not destroyed, the auspicious aura in the nest will become increasingly dense. Auspicious fortune. When the auspicious aura in the nest reaches a certain level, the bird's nest will release blessings of good fortune in the surrounding area, increasing the luck of the blessed creatures. Exclusive skill: Noble Swallow. Before removing the contract with an auspicious plant Fey, one cannot form a contract of any nature with any life form. The contracted auspicious plant Fey can share the auspicious aura in the bird's nest. When he saw this Fey, which was called a Coiled Fortune Swallow under True Data, Lin Yun's eyes widened. Lin Yuan immediately knew what was going on when Ji Feng had said that everyone in the mansion was infected with an auspicious omen. This auspicious omen that benefited everyone in the mansion was this petite swallow with tender yellow feathers on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. This Coiled Fortune Swallow, which Lin Yuan had never heard of, had truly shocked him. This Coiled Fortune Swallow should be a mutation of some kind of auspicious swallow species Fey. Lin Yuan had seen plenty of auspicious Feys of various sizes. The Mountain River Eternal Life Carp that he had personally nurtured was a superior auspicious omen. A carp could protect the mountains and rivers and ensure the peace of all living things. However, this Coiled Fortune Swallow's ability was not inferior to the Mountain River Eternal Life Carp at all. In fact, to spirit chi professionals, the Coiled Fortune Swallow was far more useful than the Mountain River Eternal Life Carp. Lin Yuan, who had seen the curse on Zhongzhe and Wang Fuxiang, knew very well that misfortune truly existed. If there was misfortune, there would naturally be good luck. The Coiled Fortune Swallow's blessing could be transformed into good luck. It was the same as putting a layer of good luck buff on everyone in the mansion. It allowed everyone living in the mansion to be accompanied by good luck no matter what they did. Lin Yuan looked at the small pile of branches that the Coiled Fortune Swallow had picked up from the cinnabar sweet osmanthus and thought to himself, does this Coiled Fortune Swallow intend to build a nest on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus? For a delicate Fey like the Coiled Fortune Swallow, if it did not intend to build a nest in the mansion, Lin Yuan really did not have any good ideas. The coiled fortune swallow's exclusive skill, high-purity swallow, was destined that no spirit chi professional could contract a coiled fortune swallow. It was common knowledge that auspicious fays were difficult to nurture. Forcefully detaining the coiled fortune swallow might very likely cause its death. Moreover, if the coiled fortune swallow wanted to bless everyone in the mansion, it would first need to build a nest and fill the nest with auspicious chi. The coiled fortune swallow was unwilling to build a nest, eat, and accumulate auspicious chi. Even if the coiled fortune swallow was forcefully restrained, it would be useless. Since this coiled fortune swallow was silver 3, it meant that it must have formed a contract with an auspicious plant species fae. However, the bewitched fortune swallow had chosen to terminate the contract. It was either because that auspicious plant fae was already dead. Either that plant fae was already dead, or the coiled fortune swallow did not fancy it. In short, no matter what, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus, which bloomed all year round and produced a lot of honey, was the best choice for the coiled fortune swallow. As an osmanthus fae, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus had a pure aura. In addition, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus was all about spirit focus, chi gathering, and evil warding, which could make the coiled fortune swallow comfortable, so there was no reason for the coiled fortune swallow not to like it. More importantly, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus was legend. The coiled fortune swallow could use the auspicious binding pact to form a contract with the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. The coiled fortune swallow's quality would also immediately increase to legend. The increase in quality had a fatal attraction to any fae, and the coiled fortune swallow was naturally no exception. A creation master would need to expend a lot of effort to increase a fae's quality to legend, let alone in the wild. It was almost impossible to find a legend fae in the wild. Furthermore, the coiled fortune swallow did not need an ordinary legend fae or a legend plant fae. It needed an auspicious plant fae. It was unknown how long the coiled fortune swallow had searched for a needle in a haystack before finding the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. No matter how he looked at it, the coiled fortune swallow had no reason to give up on building its nest on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. End of this chapter. Chapter 1267. The Radiance Federation's mid-spring weather had completely warmed up. People had taken off their thick and bulky warm clothes and changed into thin, unlined clothes. It happened to be a fine day today, and the clouds in the sky were like large pieces of cotton candy on a pale blue plate. The sunlight shone through the dense, pure white clouds and shone on people's bodies, no longer making them feel the scorching heat of direct sunlight. The warm sunlight was like a layer of clear glaze on people's bodies. When Lin Yuan, who was bathed in the sunlight, was observing the coiled fortune swallow, the coiled fortune swallow was also observing him. Perhaps it was because Lin Yuan had taken the geocentric jade milk and had been reborn, but the coiled fortune swallow was not very afraid of him. At that moment, the coiled fortune swallow flapped its wings and flew toward Lin Yuan's shoulder. The coiled fortune swallow's original appearance looked like a small swallow with tender yellow feathers and was inconspicuous. However, when it spread its wings and took off, everyone realized that it had 4 to 5 goose yellow feathers. One of these goose yellow feathers was particularly prominent, and it was more than 5 times the coiled fortune swallow's body length. Under the sunlight, a few of the light yellow feathers gave off a sparkling and translucent feeling. Lin Yuan suddenly keenly noticed that there was actually a deep wound on the coiled fortune swallow's lower abdomen. That was right. In the wild, a non-aggressive avian fae with such gorgeous feathers would easily attract the attention of predatory flying fays. Moreover, the gorgeous feathers would also affect its flying speed. This coiled fortune swallow had probably just experienced a life and death struggle before coming to the mansion. The coiled fortune swallow should be flying toward him to ask for help. It hoped that he could help it deal with its injuries. When the coiled fortune swallow landed on Lin Yuan's shoulder, Lin Yuan did not immediately turn his head. This was because he could feel that the coiled fortune swallow's feet were not in place, and he could hardly feel its weight on his shoulder. If he turned his head now, he would probably scare the coiled fortune swallow away. Lin Yuan secretly circulated the jasmine lily's heal ability, and a stream of vitality gushed out from his shoulder to heal the coiled fortune swallow's injured abdomen. After Lin Yuan expressed his goodwill, the coiled fortune swallow slowly let down its guard. After a long time, Lin Yuan finally felt some weight on his shoulder. It seemed like the blessed swallow had finally let down its guard against him. Although the blessing Xiangyan didn't trust him, some small movements shouldn't alarm the blessing Xiangyan. With that thought in mind, he slowly turned his head. Lin Yuan turned around and found the swallow Lux Xiangyan looking at him with its head tilted. His eyes were half timid, half inquisitive, and there was a tinge of gratitude in them. Upon seeing the lucky Xiangyan's adorable appearance, Lin Yuan's face immediately bloomed with a refreshing and sunny smile. A gust of wind blew and messed up Lin Yuan's hair. His hair blocked his eyes, leaving only the corners of his mouth curling up. When a young man opens his lips and smiles, auspicious birds come from the heavens. The young man's smile was frozen in the sunlight like a painting. In the eyes of Wen Yu, Lu Jie, and Zhong Zhe, this painting was indescribably stunning. Today, when Wen Yu, Zhong Zhe, and Lu Jie first saw Lin Yuan, they all felt that his facial features seemed to have become more exquisite overnight. At first, everyone thought it was just an illusion. However, after careful observation, even if Wen Yu and Lu Jie could always see Lin Yuan, it was difficult to notice the changes in his appearance. They still found that Lin Yuan's facial features and bones had changed a little. The changes in appearance and bones often came from the improvement of the genetic model. It seemed that Lin Yuan had obtained a genetic upgrade in the Radiant Moon Palace last night. This discovery couldn't help but make Zhong Zhe, Lu Jie, and Wen Yu feel a wave of pressure. As he looked at the blessed Xiangyan, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of that legend. If that legend was true, the ones who benefited the most from the blessed Xiangyan's arrival were actually not the people in the mansion or the blessed Xiangyan itself. Instead, it was the cinnabar sweet osmanthus on which the blessed Xiangyan had built its nest. It was rumored that among the top 10 auspicious osmanthus fays, the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus had evolved from the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. This rumor had caused the price of the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to soar in the early years, and it could even reach more than 5 times its original value. But in the end, these buyers who cultivated the cinnabar sweet osmanthus and wanted to evolve it into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus had all suffered huge losses. This was because the cinnabar sweet osmanthus was just like a rock, and there was no trend of evolution or mutation no matter what was used to induce it. In the end, a Class 4 creation master discovered that when the cinnabar sweet osmanthus absorbed the auspicious aura, its flowers would become even redder than before. This meant that the auspicious aura could promote the cinnabar sweet osmanthus's evolution. At that time, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus's value had already plummeted due to the cultivator's failures. In the end, the Class 4 creation master wrote his discovery into a paper and posted it on the star web. This paper made those who had bought the cinnabar sweet osmanthus and dreamed of cultivating it into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus cursed. The auspicious aura was the foundation for the evolution of auspicious fays, and it was also one of the reasons why auspicious fays were so expensive. Extracting the auspicious aura from the auspicious phase was no different from taking the life of the auspicious phase. If the cultivators really had the spare money to buy a large number of auspicious fays, who would be willing to rack their brains to evolve the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to make money? In the end, the craze for cultivating the cinnabar sweet osmanthus slowly subsided. In order to prove his point of view, the Class 4 creation master had spent a lot of resources to buy auspicious fays. He had extracted the auspicious aura from the auspicious phase to nourish the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. As a result, every time a certain amount of auspicious aura was absorbed, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus would undergo a change. In the end, the Class 4 creation master had extracted the auspicious aura from 1,000 auspicious phase and still wasn't able to evolve the cinnabar sweet osmanthus into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus. In the end, the Class 4 creation master had been so angry that he had chopped down the cinnabar sweet osmanthus that he had planted. He had even recorded the process of chopping down the tree and posted it on the star web, becoming the star web's annual joke. At that time, Lin Yuan hadn't browsed the star web yet, But this annual joke had been posted on the forum that Lin Yuan frequented. Therefore, Lin Yuan knew about this matter. After obtaining a large amount of knowledge through genius, Lin Yuan could confirm that the auspicious aura could indeed induce the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to evolve. Otherwise, the cinnabar sweet osmanthus wouldn't have undergone a change after absorbing the auspicious aura. Lin Yuan reckoned that the fundamental reason for the Class 4 Creation Master's failure was that there wasn't enough auspicious aura to nurture the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. It couldn't reach the standard for the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to evolve into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus. When the auspicious swallow built its nest on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus, it could use its ability to share the auspicious aura with the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. This allowed the cinnabar sweet osmanthus to have the possibility of evolving. If the cinnabar sweet osmanthus could really evolve into the vermilion beauty jade containing osmanthus, which was ranked at the top of the 10 major auspicious osmanthus phase, Lin Yuan would have another way to make money. End of this chapter. Chapter 1268. The juice of the great beauty jade cassia could slow down the aging process and whiten and smooth the skin. If the osmanthus honey of great beauty was applied to the face for a long time, it could even restore the youthful appearance of a person in their 20s. This effect was enough to make any female spirit chi professional go crazy. Of course, whether or not the cinnabar sweet osmanthus could evolve into the great beauty jade containing osmanthus still depended on whether or not this rumor was accurate. But no matter what, being able to evolve the cinnabar sweet osmanthus was a good thing. As a Class 2 Creation Master, when you couldn't immediately recognize the coiled fortune swallow's ability. However, Zhongzhe was already close to the standard of a Class 4 Creation Master. As soon as Zhongzhe saw the uniqueness of the coiled fortune swallow, he immediately stopped them from doing anything. He told Lu Jie and Wen Yu to remain calm. Upon seeing that the bewitched fortune swallow had let down its guard against Lin Yuan, Zhongzhe took the initiative to speak. Yuan, congratulations on having such an auspicious guest in your manor. Lin Yuan replied with a smile. It's all thanks to Big Brother Zong. If Big Brother Zong didn't say goodbye at the right time, I might have missed this little guy. Lin Yuan was not being courteous, but his true thoughts. The swallow Xiangyan's abdomen was injured. The cinnabar sweet osmanthus's skill targeted the mind. It was unable to effectively heal Fu Xiangyan's physical injuries. In order to recover from his injuries as soon as possible, the coiled fortune swallow might fly out of the manor to think of a solution. Even if the lucky swallows had set their sights on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus, they would still return in the end. However, it was hard to guarantee that the eye-catching feathers of the good fortune swallow would not bring trouble to the good fortune swallow. If the lucky swallow died outside, then the fortune of everyone in the manor would slip away. After sending Zhongzhe away, Lin Yuan activated the source sand. Then, a large number of black feathers separated from the source sand and formed several pairs of wings behind Lin Yuan. He flapped his wings and brought the lucky swallow on his shoulder to the cinnabar sweet osmanthus's trunk. He found the flattest part of the trunk and tried to grab the coiled fortune swallow on his shoulder. However, just as his hand was about to touch the coiled fortune swallow, it had already jumped to the trunk. She did not give Lin Yuan a chance to touch her. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan knew that the coiled fortune Xiangyan had let down its guard against him. However, the prerequisite for letting down his guard was to keep a safe distance from the Xiangyan. Lin Yuan did not care about this. Instead, he picked some suitable cinnabar sweet osmanthus branches and broke them off. He took a feather and cut the cassia branch into 7 or 8 centimeters long sections. He used these branches to build a simple nest on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. Then, he returned to the ground and withdrew his black wings. He knew that the fortune Xiangyan would not live in the nest he had built. He was only doing this to express his thoughts to the coiled fortune swallow and tell it that it could build its nest here with peace of mind. In the future, if there were any problems with the nest, he could ask for his help. As a bird fey with extremely high vigilance, it was impossible for it to build a nest under their noses. Thus, Lin Yuan pulled them back to the main mansion. Upon seeing the dumbfounded expressions on Lu Jie's and Wen Yu's faces, Lin Yuan explained the coiling fortune swallow's ability to them. Lu Jie and Wen Yu had never thought that there would be such a big opportunity under their noses. If Lin Yuan had not discovered this opportunity and Zhong Zhe had taken the initiative to stop them, they would have probably slipped away. This opportunity would have slipped away because of the two of them. This matter made Lu Jie think to himself. It's indeed easier for creation masters to seize opportunities. Wen Yu was thinking that there was a huge gap between her and Lin Yuan's creation master standards. She needed to touch the Fae and carefully investigate it to be able to figure out the ability, but Lin Yuan only needed to look at it. After nightfall, Lin Yuan quietly stepped out of the mansion. He found that the nest he had built for the coiled fortune swallow had been kicked to the ground by it. At the place where he had built the nest, there was a nest prototype made of a bunch of fine branches with goose-yellow feathers. Lin Yuan did not disturb the coiled fortune swallow, which was happily sucking the nectar and pecking the petals among the cinnabar sweet osmanthus. He turned around and returned to the main mansion to sleep in peace. The next morning, after breakfast, Lin Yuan went to Star Web to meet Qi Heng and Qi Haitao, who had been waiting for a day. When Lin Yuan met them, his attitude was very unyielding. He could not be bothered to talk nonsense. He went straight to the point. Yesterday, I heard that the two of you allowed me to state any conditions. You can accept any conditions, right? Qi Heng and Qi Haitao heard Lin Yuan's words and looked at each other. Then, Qi Heng stepped forward and said to Lin Yuan, "City Lord, you are right. City Lord, you are right. No matter what conditions you have, you can state them directly. Our blissful sea tribe will do our best to fulfill your conditions." Although Qi Heng had a smile on his old face as he spoke, his eyes were abnormally dim. From Lin Yuan's tone, Qi Heng knew that Lin Yuan did not have the patience to negotiate with the blissful sea tribe. Next, Lin Yuan would state his conditions directly and would not give the blissful sea tribe any chance to bargain. As expected, Qi Haitao heard Lin Yuan say indifferently, "In that case, hand over all of the blissful sea tribe's industries and resources to Sky City. As the city lord of Sky City, I promise to help you win the blood oath battle against the Miao family's beast creation garden and give you a chance to live. As for where you will go, it will be up to you. In short, hand over all of the blissful sea tribe's assets." Lin Yuan's words surprised Qi Heng. Qi Heng thought that at the very least, Lin Yuan would let them stay in the blissful sea tribe and maintain the operations of the blissful sea tribe's industries. He did not expect Lin Yuan to underestimate the value of the blissful sea tribe and only choose to absorb the blissful sea tribe's industries. In that case, even if they won the blood oath battle against the Miao family's beast creation garden, they would still be chased out of the blissful sea tribe like stray dogs. Qi Heng quickly said, "City Lord, why don't you?" Before Qi Heng could finish speaking, Lin Yuan interrupted him. "My conditions are my bottom line. If you think that my conditions are not good enough, then you can have the blood oath battle against the Miao family. After the blood oath battle is over, Sky City will initiate the blood oath battle against the Miao family's beast creation garden. The blissful sea tribe will still belong to Sky City. As for what will happen to you, you know it best." After saying that, Lin Yuan stood up and put on a posture as if he was about to leave. Seeing that Lin Yuan was about to leave, Qi Haitao quickly knelt on the ground. He said to Lin Yuan before Qi Heng could leave, "End of this chapter." Chapter 1269. City Lord, we, the blissful sea tribe, will obey your request. We will do as you say. However, I have a piece of information here. I would like to use this information to make a deal with you, sir. In exchange for resources for our blissful sea tribe, we can start anew. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan lowered his head to look at Qi Haitao, who was prostrating on the ground, and felt a trace of interest. Since Qi Haitao dared to discuss a deal with him at this time, he must have some incredible information. Lin Yuan said indifferently, "If this information is valuable, when your Qi family leaves the Paradise Sea tribe, I can give you 5 million radiance dollars as startup capital." Qi Haitao's expression flickered. The last time he came to Sky City's Star Web private faction territory, he was on equal footing with Sky City's city lord. Now, in front of the lord of Sky City, he had become a stray dog. As for whether he could use this condition to exchange for 5 million radiance dollars, Chi Haitao knew that he couldn't make the decision and still had to see Chi Heng's opinion. So Chi Haitao looked at Chi Heng. Chi Heng nodded helplessly when he saw Chi Haitao looking at him. The source of this information was right under the few islands that the Blissful Sea tribe had bought in the distant sea. Once Sky City occupied those islands, they would discover this secret sooner or later. If he could exchange it for some resources, it would be the best choice. However, 5 million radiance dollars were too little. Any bronze/epic Fae could be sold for 30 million radiance dollars. As a Class 4 creation master, he could create 5 million radiance dollars in a day or two. To put it bluntly, Chi Heng was not interested in the 5 million radiance dollars that Lin Yuan offered. However, Chi Heng knew that he and the others were not qualified to bargain with the Castellan of Sky City. If bargaining now angered the City Lord of Sky City, then the City Lord of Sky City would definitely not help the Sea of Bliss tribe. In that case, the Blissful Sea tribe would be as good as wax. When Chi Haitao saw Chi Heng nod, he spoke to Lin Yuan. City Lord, there was a huge whale crash under the island that our Sea of Bliss tribe purchased. Upon hearing Chi Haitao's words, Lin Yuan immediately widened his eyes. What was going on? Why did he encounter so many fortuitous encounters recently? The whale fall was a gift from nature to the sea. Even a small whale fall could bring a feast of life to the bottom of the sea, let alone a large whale fall. When hundreds of giant whale fays were buried at the bottom of the sea at the end of their lifespans, they would provide unimaginable nutrients for the entire sea region. It was enough to turn this deep-sea fish fay farm into a super fishery. Any fish fay raised in it could grow at the fastest speed. In the process of decomposing the numerous cetacean phase corpses at the bottom of the sea, the ocean currents would sweep a large amount of nutrients to the surface. The nutrients from the bottom of the sea to the surface could even give many aquatic phase the opportunity to evolve and mutate. In fact, a large whale fall could not only bring benefits to the fishery. It could also bring a major opportunity to the floating island whale in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. If what Chi Haitao said was true, then there was a huge whale fall under the island of the Sea of Bliss. In that case, his floating island whale should be able to hatch as soon as possible with the energy of this large whale fall. At the same time, he also obtained a lot of unhatched island whales at the location of the large whale fall. Lin Yuan looked at Qi Wangyang and said seriously, "If the information you gave is true, and there is really a large whale fall below the island, I can guarantee the safety of your Qi family for 3 years. 3 years is enough for the Qi family to make a comeback and develop into a rising force. At that time, if someone dares to make a move against your Qi clan, they will have to apply for a blood oath extreme duel. This will give your Qi family a chance to prepare in advance." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Chi Haitao and Chi Heng were confused. She did not understand what Lin Yuan meant by that. When Sky City destroyed the Miao family's beast creation garden, although the Qi family would not have the resources of the Blissful Ocean clan, their combat power would still be there. No one would come looking for excitement. Therefore, neither Chi Haitao nor Chi Heng took Lin Yuan's promise seriously. However, both of them put on a grateful expression and thanked Lin Yuan profusely. After the matter was settled, Chi Heng and Chi Haitao were about to leave. At that moment, they heard Lin Yuan say faintly, "That's right. The Miao family's beast creation garden has established a relationship with Whale Ocean Trading. They are currently cooperating with Whale Ocean Trading. I believe you should have heard that Whale Ocean Trading already has 2 experts who have become immortals. Don't spread the news that Sky City is helping the Blissful Ocean clan in a blood oath extreme duel. It's best if only the 2 of you know. When you go back, just treat it as Sky City rejecting the Blissful Ocean clan. If the Blissful Ocean clan leaks the news and the Miao family's beast creation garden hears about it, you will still have to die. If the Miao family's beast creation garden seeks Whale Ocean Trading's help, even if they seek Sky City's help, you will still have to die." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Chi Haitao and Chi Heng immediately understood what he meant. The Blissful Ocean clan's people were in a mess now. Someone might have secretly sided with the Miao family. If this matter spread to the Miao family's beast creation garden, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, Lin Yuan's tone was too cold. He only said that the Qi family had to die, but didn't the Emperor-class experts from Sky City have to die? Could it be that Sky City's city lord did not care about the Emperor-class experts' lives? Was it because Sky City had so many Emperor-class experts that they did not need to care about them? Or was it because Sky City's city lord himself was a scumbag? Lin Yuan, who had been misunderstood as a scumbag by Qi Haitao and Qi Heng, was actually not afraid that the Beast Creation Garden would seek help from whale ocean trading. This was because before coming to Star Web, Lin Yuan had received a message from the Void Shadow Devil. The Void Shadow Devil hoped to undergo a source baptism as soon as possible so that it could use the source baptism to break through to a Class 12 dimensional life form. There was still more than a day before the Blissful Ocean Clan and the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden's Blood Oath Extreme Duel. There was enough time for the Void Shadow Devil to undergo the Source Baptism and break through before the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. Therefore, when it helped the Blissful Ocean Clan in the Blood Oath Extreme Duel, the Void Shadow Devil would already be at the immortal level. Even if the news was leaked and the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden really borrowed an immortal expert's help from whale ocean trading, the Void Shadow Devil might still be able to put up a fight. If it really could not beat it, it would be better to let the Void Shadow Devil hide in the shadows and not appear. In any case, with the Void Shadow Devil's concealment ability, unless an expert of the same grade possessed an immortal fae that specialized in scouting. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to discover the Void Shadow Devil's existence. Chapter 1270. Therefore, even if the news of Sky City helping the Blissful Ocean Tribe in the Blood Oath Duel got out, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden would seek help from Whale Ocean Trade's immortal experts. Qi Heng hurriedly promised, "City Lord, don't worry. City Governor, don't worry. It's already a great honor for our Blissful Sea Tribe to have you help us. We, the Sea of Bliss, will naturally not cause trouble for Sky City. When I return to the family, I will say that the Blissful Ocean Tribe did not seek help from Sky City. When filling in the Blood Oath Duel member list, I will randomly fill in 3 names. When we arrive at the Extreme Arena, Lord Guhan will ask if we have confirmed the participants for the competition. At that time, I will temporarily replace Haitao with an expert that you have sent. I can use this opportunity to see how the Blissful Ocean Tribe's people are." Qi Heng no longer cared about the Blissful Ocean Tribe's former glory. Instead, he was thinking about how to make the Blissful Ocean Tribe develop from scratch. This disaster to the Blissful Ocean Tribe was also a test for the Blissful Ocean Tribe. It could help Qi Heng test the hearts of every member of the Blissful Ocean Tribe. The Miao family's Beast Creation Garden had initiated the Blood Oath Duel with the Blissful Ocean Tribe because the current family head, Qi Wangyang, was too arrogant and did not know what was good for him. Even if the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden had lost 2 Emperor-class experts to Sky City. After that, they were suppressed by the surging public opinion. However, as an old faction, the Blissful Ocean Tribe should not have gone against the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. However, as the family head, Qi Wangyang did not even know that a broken ship still had 3,000 nails. It was truly ironic. Qi Haitao's decisiveness made Qi Heng feel that Qi Haitao was more suitable to be the family head of the Blissful Ocean Tribe than Qi Wangyang. Qi Wangyang would have to pay for his mistakes after this incident was over. In fact, a few days after Qi Wangyang had gone against the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, Qi Heng had confirmed that the faction that was collecting the Aurora pollen in the market was not the Beast Creation Garden. The Beast Creation Garden had always been at odds with the Dew Immortal Garden, and plant phase were the Dew Immortal Garden's specialty. Therefore, the Miao family did not have much say in the plant-type Fey market. Through his investigations, Qi Heng discovered that the Dew Immortal Garden had always been controlling the quantity of spiritual materials like the Aurora pollen on the market. He also relied on his own huge inventory to create the illusion that there was a sufficient stock of Aurora pollen on the market. That was why the Blissful Sea Tribe, who had been focused on the far sea fishery, did not notice the unusual amount of Aurora pollen in the market. Apart from the Dew Immortal Garden, Chi Hung also discovered that the purchase with no loss store on StarWeb, which had become an internet celebrity, was also participating. This small StarWeb store had been secretly increasing its stock of Aurora pollen by using blind barter. If an ordinary person did not rear angelfish of bliss, it would be useless for him to have so much Aurora pollen. Moreover, even if they were raising angelfish of bliss, there was no need to hoard such a large amount of Aurora pollen. In addition, spiritual materials like Aurora pollen were not easy to store and would go bad after 2 years. If a picky and delicate fae like the angelfish of bliss were to eat the moldy Aurora pollen, it would soon be infected and die. Therefore, it could be confirmed that the depletion of Aurora pollen in the market was a joint scheme by the purchase with no loss store and the top faction, the Dew Immortal Garden. After investigating this point, Chi Heng did not have the time to be angry with the Dew Immortal Garden and the purchase with no loss store. The Miao family had initiated a blood oath extreme duel with the blissful sea tribe in the Beast Creation Garden. Now that he had obtained the promise from the Sky City Lord, it could be said that the dust had settled. After the dust settled, Chi Hung originally thought that he would hate the Dew Immortal Garden and the purchase with no loss store. However, at that moment, Chi Hung could not hate the Dew Immortal Garden and the purchase with no loss store anymore. Instead, a strong sense of fear grew in his heart. The Dew Immortal Garden had experienced a major change a few years ago, but it was still firmly sitting on the throne of a top faction. This meant that the Dew Immortal Garden definitely had an Emperor-class expert presiding over it. In addition, the Blissful Sea Tribe had participated in the Nyx Assembly and personally seen Sun Ningxiang standing in the circle of Her Holiness disciple. Even if Chi Heng had the guts of a tiger, he would not dare to provoke such a person. Moreover, the fact that the Dew Immortal Garden was willing to set up a trap with the purchase with no loss store meant that there was also a colossus standing behind the store. Otherwise, there would not be a chance for the purchase with no loss store and the Dew Immortal Garden to cooperate. In addition, it was no secret that the Dew Immortal Garden and Sky City had a good relationship. If he dared to take revenge on the Dew Immortal Garden afterward, it was very likely that the Dew Immortal Garden would not have to make a move. In order to maintain its relationship with the Dew Immortal Garden, Sky City had taken the initiative to deal with the Chi family, which had become a stray dog. Chi Heng now only hoped that when the Chi family started over again, the Dew Immortal Garden and the purchase with no loss store would let the Chi family off. They would not set up a trap for the Chi family anymore. If there was any problem on his side, Chi Heng would even be willing to take the initiative to look for them. He would ask for the forgiveness of the Dew Immortal Garden and the purchase with no loss store. Between life and death, Chi Heng understood that the old power that he was so proud of was not that great of a background. If he provoked someone he should not provoke, he would also disappear from the world. Upon seeing that Chi Heng understood what he meant, Lin Yuan immediately asked him to leave. Lin Yuan's mind was now focused on the Void Shadow Devil's breakthrough. If the Void Shadow Demon could successfully advance to rank 12, his subordinates would finally have the power of an undying. Even if Lin Yuan did not rely on the Moon Empress' help, he could still act freely. In the Radiance Federation, the immortal combat power could already be considered a true pinnacle combat power. Furthermore, the Void Shadow Fiend wasn't as simple as advancing to a level 12 dimensional creature. Pouring 9,900 portions of Source-type energy into the Nihility Shadowless Demon's Source-type baptism was enough to raise the Nihility Shadowless Demon's life level. The Void Shadow Fiend that transformed into an apostle would obtain a second innate ability. At that time, the Nothingness Shadow Fiend would undergo a qualitative transformation in both strength and functionality. After Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang left Sky City's private territory, Lin Yuan opened the territory's access control and left StarWeb. After leaving StarWeb, he returned to his room and entered the Spirit Lock spatial zone in a flash. Lin Yuan, who had returned to the Spirit Lock spatial zone, said to the Void Shadow Fiend, "The Void Shadow Fiend is in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Shadow, I've prepared the Source-type energy for your Source-type baptism. You have to rely on yourself for the rest. Given my current strength, even if you encounter danger during the metamorphosis, I may not be able to help." End of this chapter. Chapter 1271. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Void Shadow Demon hurriedly knelt on the ground in excitement. It's Shadow's blessing to be able to obtain the Lord Ruler's Source-type power. Shadow will definitely live up to the Lord Ruler's expectations and successfully reach Class 12. After being in contact with Shadow for so long, Lin Yuan knew that Shadow had a cautious personality. It would not do things that it was not confident of. Otherwise, it would not have been able to resist the temptation when he wanted to perform the Source-type baptism on Shadow. He was prepared to wait until he was confident of advancing to Class 12 before using the Source-type baptism for a double blessing. Since Shadow said so, it meant that it was already fully confident. Previously, Lin Yuan had specifically asked Bai Yan if there would be a fatal risk for dimensional lifeforms to advance from Class 11 to Class 12. Bai Yan's answer was that there was a possibility of failure for dimensional lifeforms to advance from Class 11 to Class 12. However, even if it failed, it would not die. Therefore, there was nothing for Lin Yuan to worry about. Lin Yuan took the Void Shadow Demon across Klein Hub to the Swamp World and prepared to let Shadow undergo the Source-type baptism in the Swamp World to break through. As a dimensional life form, it was not convenient for the Void Shadow Demon to advance in the Abyss World. However, advancing in the Swamp World, which was a dimensional world like the Abyss World, was much more suitable than in the main world. After arriving in the Swamp World, Lin Yuan realized that only 2 days had passed. A lot of fruit trees had been planted in a delineated area in the distance. It seemed that what he had said to those spirit craftsmen had worked. Coincidentally, during these 2 days, Lin Yuan had taken the time to enhance some bronze/epic phase that the spirit craftsmen needed. It was a piece of cake for Lin Yuan to enhance bronze/epic phase now, and it would not take much time. The only thing that took Lin Yuan a little longer was the bronze/legend phase that he had prepared for Lu Tong. He saw a Medusa demon planting flowers and plants on the marsh moss, and this Medusa demon was the closest to him. Lin Yuan decided to call this Medusa over and order it to find Lu Tong. Then, he would hand over the benefits that he had promised the spirit craftsman to Lu Tong and let him distribute them. Lin Yuan had thought that these Medusa demons were afraid of him and might have some difficulty communicating. However, he didn't expect that after he called out to this Medusa would look at him with eyes full of worship and respect. Lin Yuan found it a little strange. It had only been 2 days, and he didn't stay in the Swamp World to spend time with this Medusa demon during these 2 days. Why was this Medusa demon not afraid of him? In fact, when Lin Yuan had left the Spirit Lock spatial zone the last time, his identity as a ruler had spread among the Medusa demons in the territory. To these Medusa demons who were still dimensional creatures, apostles were already unreachable existences. That was to say nothing of the level above the apostles, the rulers that only existed in legends. To be able to live in the same territory as the hegemon, to be able to interact with the hegemon at such a close distance, and to admire the hegemon's beauty, this was something that the Medusa snake demons didn't even dare to dream of. After learning of Lin Yuan's request, the Medusa demons seemed to be going to complete a sacred mission. It put down the work at hand and twisted its body. He walked solemnly towards the area where the spirit craftsmen were working. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan turned around and entered the breeding room where the 50 questions beasts were working. This breeding room was built in a hurry and didn't look like much from the outside. However, the internal space was extremely large. 100 questions beast occupied a room that was about the size of a square meter, and the room was equipped with top-notch creation master tools. During Lin Yuan's ward rounds, none of the 50 questions beasts had disappointed him. In 2 days, almost every 100 questions beast had concocted 5 bottles of Class 3 spirit liquids. Among them, Fat Orange, which Lin Yuan had personally nurtured, had concocted as many as 7 bottles of Class 3 spirit liquids. In these 2 days, the 100 Questions Beast Legion had provided him with a total of 281 bottles of Class 3 spirit liquids. Lin Yuan was very satisfied with this. After setting up some cat trees and toys for these 50 questions beasts in the breeding room, Lin Yuan left the breeding room. After leaving the breeding room, Lin Yuan saw Lu Tong, who was covered in mud, standing at attention 20 meters in front of the building. Upon seeing Lin Yuan appear at the building's entrance, Lu Tong hurriedly took 2 steps forward and arrived beside Lin Yuan. He spoke to Lin Yuan with a face full of smiles. "My lord, in less than a week, we will be able to complete the light room that your cat Fei asked us to build." Upon hearing Lu Tong's words, Lin Yuan reached out to pat off the mud on Lu Tong's chest and shoulders. He said, "Lu Tong, please put in more effort to make arrangements for the construction. Yes, this is the Fei that you reported previously. I have brought it for you this time." After speaking, Lin Yuan handed a diamond Fei storage box to Lu Tong. Lin Yuan knew about the light room that Lu Tong had mentioned. This was the temporary work that Genius had arranged for the spirit craftsman to plant the soldier supply radishes in the spirit lock spatial zone. The purpose of the light room was to allow the soldier supply radishes to grow better. Therefore, putting aside the original work and building the light room first was the best choice for development. When Lu Tong heard Lin Yuan's words, he was immediately stunned. He didn't dare to accept the diamond Fei storage box that Lin Yuan handed over. It would be a lie to say that Lu Tong wasn't pleasantly surprised. As the person with vested interests, Lu Tong was undoubtedly happier than the other spirit craftsmen. The other spirit craftsmen had only obtained bronze/epic Feis, while Lu Tong had obtained a bronze/legend Fei. However, compared to being pleasantly surprised, Lu Tong was more surprised and touched. In just 2 days, the city lordess that they were loyal to had brought 34 bronze/epic Feis and 1 bronze/legend Fei according to their needs. Let's not talk about what kind of resources this was. More importantly, this matter could show that the city lord that he was loyal to didn't look down on them just because they were insignificant spirit craftsmen. Instead, the city lord had kept the promise to them in mind and immediately started to make preparations. The respect that came from caring made Lu Tong's heart thump. When Lu Tong didn't accept the diamond Fei storage box, Lin Yuan shook his wrist and said, "Let's see if there are any problems with the Feis in the Fei storage box. Let's see if there are any problems with the Feis in the Fei storage box first. If there are any problems when you distribute them later, remember to report them." A few of the Fei's bloodlines have evolved and mutated during the enhancement process. They are somewhat different from the Feis that were originally reported. However, the direction of these Feis mutations and evolutions are all positive, so I didn't exchange these Feis. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Lu Tong immediately realized that he had been in a daze. Chapter 1272. Lu Tong hurriedly took the diamond Fei storage box from Lin Yuan's palm and thought to himself, "I wonder which fellow is so lucky to actually obtain a Fei that has undergone a positive mutation and evolution." A bronze Fei was a good evolution and mutation Fei that was hard to come by. Anyone who obtained one would probably jump with joy. It was impossible for anyone to dislike a Fei with a positive mutation. After instructing Lu Tong took the diamond Fei storage box and went back to work. At that moment, the slaughter sky butterfly came to Lin Yuan's side and said, "That's right. Young Master, Wendy, Shi Teng, and Bai Xian aren't in the territory right now. If you need anything from them, I'll help you find them immediately." Lin Yuan shook his head. As apostles, Wendy, Shi Teng, and Bai Xian shouldn't be like flowers in a greenhouse. Having the opportunity to go out and gain experience was a good thing. Furthermore, he had nothing to look for them in the spirit lock spatial zone this time, so he did not need to call them back. Through his previous conversation with Bai Yan, Lin Yuan had learned about the division of the swamp region. Lin Yuan secretly placed the battlefield in the swamp world on Taotongong. Thus, as his apostles, Shi Teng, Wendy, and Bai Xian needed to grow as fast as possible. Kill the sky butterfly, let the 3 of them train outside. If there's nothing urgent, there's no need to call them back. By the way, how has your bloodline recovered recently? The slaughterer sky butterfly replied. Thanks to the earth-type heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearl that young master gave me, my bloodline has completely recovered. Also, I have just advanced to the monarch stage, so I need some time to adapt to the increase in my strength. However, if I want to improve my strength again, I won't be able to face a new creation tribulation in a short period of time. As it spoke, The slaughter butterfly could not help but sigh softly. The slaughter sky butterfly, which possessed the supreme bloodline of the three butterfly species phase, had always been conceited about its strength improvement speed. During this period of time in the swamp world, the killer butterfly saw the strength of the dimensional creatures increase. He realized that compared to dimensional life forms, it was much more difficult for him to increase his strength as a fae. The way dimensional creatures relied on devouring flesh to raise their levels reminded the slaughter butterfly of when it was still a slaughter worm. However, now that he had transformed into a slaughter butterfly, he wanted to rely on the slaughter worms to increase his strength. It was already impossible. It was not that the killer butterfly had not thought of asking him for some law crystals. Previously, he had used a large number of rule crystals to forcefully raise his strength to a creation breed. However, Lin Yuan had taken the initiative to give it to him previously. Now, the killer butterfly had to ask Lin Yuan for it. The scourge sky butterfly was too embarrassed to open its mouth. At that moment, the killer butterfly saw Lin Yuan hand it a small wooden box. When the predator butterfly opened it, it was almost blinded by the small wooden chest full of law crystals. The killer butterfly only heard Lin Yuan's words. "There are 2,000 law crystals in here. Take them and use them first. Tell Zixiao to inform me when you're done. I'll prepare it for you. I will continue to provide you with law crystals until your strength increases to the 5 tribulations of creation. After you advance to the 5th tribulation of creation, you'll need the world crystal to increase your strength. It's really difficult for me to obtain a world crystal at the moment. Therefore, when it comes to the 5 tribulations of creation, you will need to work hard on your own." As he spoke, Lin Yuan could not help but think of the world origin crystal he had given to Princess and the 2 world crystals he had given to her. That world origin crystal had been completely absorbed by Princess. However, it would take her 7 days to absorb each of the 2 world crystals. In order to protect Zheng Kaiyuan and Miao Ji, the Miao family's beast creation garden had been extorted 2 world crystals. One of them was produced by the Class 1 creation Holy Rejuvenation White Deer. The other one was from a Level 3 Monarch rank creation stage 2nd level submerged blue whale. After Princess absorbed the Law Origin crystal, compared to the submerged ocean blue whale's Law crystal, Princess had never absorbed the Wood Law and World Law. She undoubtedly wanted to absorb the Holy Rejuvenation White Deer's Law crystal. But in the end, Lin Yuan still decided to let Princess absorb the submerged ocean blue whale's Law crystal. Lin Yuan had the healing type Fae, the Jasmine Lily, whose existence could already meet most of Lin Yuan's medical needs. Therefore, no matter how strategic the Holy Rejuvenation White Deer's Law crystal was, the absorption order was slightly later than the submerged ocean blue whale's Law crystal. In the submerged ocean blue whale's Law crystal, the ocean was constantly changing. It also contained the ability to constantly switch between water and ice. This showed that the submerged ocean blue whale's Law crystal could give Lin Yuan immunity to both water and ice attributes at the same time. It could also provide Lin Yuan with a sword skill that combined water and ice. This sword skill could be used with blue. In another 3 days, Princess would be able to finish absorbing the submerged ocean blue whale's Law crystal. Lin Yuan's heart felt as though someone was scratching it. He was looking forward to the submerged ocean blue whale's vast water world, as well as the vast water world sword skill in Holy Sword mode. After hearing Lin Yuan's words, the killer butterfly silently took the box. It wanted to quickly increase its strength. This way, it could better protect its little hubby, Purple Sky. In addition, the killer butterfly had already seen how rich Lin Yuan was. Therefore, it was not very surprised that Lin Yuan had given it 2,000 law crystals. However, after receiving a crate of law crystals, the killer butterflies should be quite happy. Compared to the law crystals themselves, what made it even happier was that this box of law crystals had been given by eunuch Lin. This showed that Lin Yuan loved his daughter-in-law very much. After receiving Lin Yuan's law crystals, the slaughter sky butterfly immediately found a place to absorb them to increase its strength. After settling everything, Lin Yuan lowered his head and spoke to his shadow. "Let's begin." As Lin Yuan's voice fell, the Void Shadow Demon's figure appeared 50 meters in front of Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan's hand trembled when he saw the solemn Void Shadow Demon. He poured the 9,900 portions of Source-type power that the princess had prepared in advance into the Void Shadow Devil's body. After the Source-type energy entered the Void Shadow Fiend's body, there was no phenomenon. However, with the Void Shadow Demon's body as the center, the entire world was instantly covered in a layer of shadow. Large swathes of shadows kept surging out of the Void Shadow Demon's body, causing its face to reveal an expression of both pain and joy. However, the joy on the Void Shadow Demon's face soon disappeared. This was because the shadows shooting out of the Void Shadow Demon's body seemed to have instantly turned into knives, turning the Void Shadow Demon's body into a hornet's nest. End of chapter. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.